Out real quick before it comes out. Sun is once again overcast. See that's behind the gloom and the clouds. Oh, right on time. Look, bells going off. I don't check the times. Everything just kind of synchronizes like that. I get up and every time I look, it's still happening. It's like on the dot 01. Get on my phone, it's 01 on the dot. I'm not even checking it. But all that to say that the reason why I point the sun out again is because I've been practicing the focus of not giving my energy, my meditation, no thoughts, no worries, no concerns to the world, and it keeps the world gloom. The more I put my mind on the world, the more it powers it up, where it gets sunny and birds and people are dancing around and everything gets a little more excited, and that keeps people in delusion from the coming of the wrath of Yahuwah. It keeps them distracted from the word. So, in one sense, we're actually loosening the word by not giving the world attention. And the reason we're not giving it attention is because we're too busy, focused, and meditated on the word in Yahusha. When I say meditate on the word, I don't mean like necessarily be reading scripture all the time. I don't want y'all to think I'm just always reading scripture. I'm not, because if it's a heavy burden, if it's like you have to force yourself, then you're not supposed to do that. Because then it's of the flesh, it's of works of the flesh. You want to always be in shalom, and until you are moved to read it or to prompt it to do something for Yahuwah, like this video, these are promptings. I waited probably weeks to do this video, and I've had two or three moments that I blew it off, like where I had an opening, I had the motivation, but I just didn't, because I wanted to make sure this was Yahuwah's desire truly, and it came back again. I was prompted again, so the window opened up, and here I am. And when I say window prompting, it's like you're just sitting there meditating. When I say on the word, I mean you're waiting for Yahuwah to speak to you. You're just kind of there, being still. Your mind is up on Him, waiting for Him to say, "All right, let's go." It's like almost like getting ready to go to a field trip or an outing with the family, Disneyland, or I don't know, something. I hate to use fleshly, worldly parables, but those worldly parables have those kind of substance in it, metaphors like parables in it. So nonetheless, it's sort of like waiting, like kids are ready, but the parents are still getting ready, and you're just sitting on the couch. You got your hat on, you got your lunch bag packed, you got everything ready, you got your little juice bottles, you got your snacks, and you're just waiting for Abba to say, all right, let's go. And then we get up and go. And that's what I'm always like in a state of, I'm always like a little kid, just like, deep down, just kind of waiting on Yahuwah to say, go, you know. And until then, I'm just resting there. The moment I get a word, I don't push it out right away, because I go through three different like filtering process. The first one is like I meditate on it. Like first one, I check it out. I analyze what I'm receiving. Like, okay, like what's the end game of this word? What is it? What is it gonna fulfill? Like what is it? What is it leading to? What's the purpose of even receiving it? And then who is it for? Like, is it just for me? Like maybe it's not meant to share. It's just to be applied for myself. So then I take that word and I see how I can apply it for myself. I was just speaking it to me, and then I just swallow it. I digest it, and just let it sit there. And then I'm subconsciously mindful of it. I go out throughout my day doing what I got to, and I always try to make time to bring that word up to remembrance, to see if it's changed, to see if anything new has been added to it to build off of, or see what's up with it. And then I just, and that's part of my filtering process. That's the first step, is like checking it out. The second step is actually applying it to yourself, like how it applies to you, then actually trying to apply it, if it's real, if it's true. And the third part is like if it's applicable for everyone else, like if it's something you're showing me because you want it done on a mass scale, and I should share it. The only reason I share it is because it's something people should know about that might help them. So other than that, some information I receive only goes to the first step. It's just something to meditate on, something to chew on. Food for thought, as they say, kind of just keeps you in a nice subconscious, peaceful, grounded, still waters, level-minded level. And that's all it's meant for. It's just to give you a little bit of nourishment to keep you feeling steady, Sometimes it's meant to actually do something with it and apply it and go on a journey with it. That's step two. Third part is to tell people about that journey and say, hey, this thing is actually a really valuable thing to know about. And that's where we're at with this. And so the day the sun is gloomy again. The reason I filmed it is because I wanted to track it because I was a little bit more lazy in the past about it, like careless, where I just thought it random or thought it wasn't that big a deal to share. But after it kept happening over and over through different seasons, where I would get back to that and see how true that was, like when I focus on that, I thought it's worth sharing because what's happening is it's as a witness that, like, you know, the day of Yahuwah is a day of darkness and gloom. Darkness and gloom. What happens when it's gloomy outside? You don't want to go outside, right? Like it's rainy, it kind of makes you want to sleep in and rest, right? That's kind of what the symptoms, like the side effects, the result of what gloomy weather kind of does, just makes you want to like stay in. And so that's what it's about. It's like we're so focused on Yahuwah powering up the Shamaim on earth that we're powering his desire on earth, so it brings all the ambiances of his of what he's trying to do, and some of that has to do with gloom and darkness, and then it gets people to a little bit of that the impression of just want to sit inside, and then the other part of that is to meditate with that, like because when people, if you was trying to give people a message about the word, like trying to share with them, like get them ready for the end, like let them know what's coming, and now's the time to search them out. But if you got nothing but bright skies and sunny days and birds and you know butterflies and events every day, everywhere you go, then the flesh, the inclination of the flesh is going to be distracted. It's just going to want that sugar rush, and it's just going to appeal to that. It'll never be able to make time for the word, for what really matters. So what Yahuwah has to do is create a little bit of gloom to kind of shut down the mood to get people to, like, you know what, I don't feel like going out. It's kind of ugly outside. For people, that's all it takes. Especially California. It's always sunny. San Diego, people come here for that because they're so drawn to that. It's all about that. It just really makes their day or breaks it. And as soon as it gets gloomy, it can put them in depression real quick. People do not like the gloom, out here, and so they'll talk about it. They'll mention like, oh, it's so ugly outside, and but it puts them in a certain mood that I feel is like creates that precipitation, that perfect storm, if you will, that the stage for Yahuwah to actually speak to them, because now they might cancel their little outing they're going to go to, their event, because it feels ugly outside. It's muggy. They don't want to go out. It might rain. Who knows? They're just not feeling it. It kind of brings you down a little bit. It makes you tired. You want to sleep in, stay in, kind of press. And then what else is there to do? They don't just want to stay and watch movies. And Yahuwah's using all that. It's all synchronized. The gloom is synchronized with the impression to, hey, read my word. It gets gloomy, read my word. It gets dark. Have you thought about reading my word? Those kind of thoughts come in. And so that's why I share this, because that I've been able to figure out as a perfect math, it adds up every time, like a scientific mathematical equation. As soon as it gets gloomy, people are a little bit down, and I know that in conjunction with it is they're thinking about the word. Like I have that mona about it, that the word comes to mind about it, like the end of the world, darkness, like, and he's like, seek me out, like get in my word, and they're getting that impression, like, I don't know, I don't want to, or maybe they do, I don't know, but I'm just being like realistic, because I used to do that. We all been there, but so I know that, and all that to say, I used to be aware of it. I used to just do it for my own personal ministry. That was my ministry. When you don't have a job, you don't work. I'm like, I do work, but I do cosmic work. I don't get paid financially, but Yahuwah provides. And it's basically like, if I have a job, I wouldn't have uh, the focus and attention and the ruach that I need to, like, meditating Yah on His Word and what He's doing, and just being in communion with Him and fellowship with Him, talking to Him, and then that connection, that Ruach brings down His desire, brings the darkness, and then I was actually, He was using me to code it for a while. Like it's like programming. It's like a program we built in the Ruach. It it took that year that I was out. That's all we were doing was building the program. Was like first I started trial and error, loosening eternal peace, love, and joy. Haba Shalom Samka. But people were taking that MPB in certain areas and they were just like having fun with it, And because the sun was out, everything felt great. So then I had to draw to Yahuwah more and extract more Ruach power from them. And I just decided I'm not going to pour out peace, love, and joy. I'm going to hold it. And I'm going to just read the word. And I started reading stuff about the day of vengeance, the day of darkness and gloom. And this was all Yahuwah leading me there, of course. And so as I started reading darkness and gloom and imagine what that was like, well, I'm so connected to Yahuwah, it started bringing darkness and gloom, as I was reading. It happened every Shabbat that would happen because that's when I would read. So people were noticing, man, why is every seventh Yom it gets all dark and gloomy? That's when people want to come out and do the most. And yeah, it's all dark and cold. Last year was just all dark and cold and overcast during the summer and everything on Shabbat Yamim, on the seventh Yamim. And I remember people were always like looking at me about it too because they knew it was me. I'm just there reading, and I would read about the darkness and gloom. And then I went from there, and it was coding because the hive mind, I was in one sense like in an alternate universe reality where we're just our thoughts on a cellular level. So I was speaking to their thoughts so they can speak to their own versions of themselves, all in the natural realm and all their hive mind collective body of the human race of those types of entities, of those people, to think on the day of wrath, darkness, and gloom, and like to maybe this is an opportunity to search Yah, to read the word. So then that's step two. I started coding. So we got it to the point where like anytime I think on Yah and the day of darkness, like as long as I was off my phone, I wasn't enjoying the world. Otherwise, I'd be a hypocrite. Like once you imprint, like compromise, like step on their coding. Imagine everything has like ones and zeros coding. It's all programmed. Like whatever you touch, your thoughts, whatever you think on. If what you think on is something that belongs to the world, it's imprinting that world coding on you. That program. If you feel something about something from the world, it's gonna print that coding in you. So I had to like not think about nothing from the world, like to enjoy or just concerns or worries about worldly things, even financial issues. I wasn't allowed to think about it or feel any kind of emotional way about anything. Just the word of Yahuwah, and it kept me clean. And I was even off my phone. And then so you got all that ruach energy, and then you can harness the darkness. Like the day of darkness and gloom, because it's where your energy goes. So my energy was going up to that. I was just thinking on the day of darkness and vengeance and gloom in the last days, and it would happen. And then from there, I can feel I had still had all this ruach meditation. Like when you have those moments where sometimes you try to connect to Yah and petition, and you just can't connect. And sometimes it's just like connecting so easy, like so smooth, like without any effort. It's just like you can see like the brightness of his light in your mind's eye, like the gold and the brightness, and you're just there fly, like you're just like gliding in it without even having to like put any effort and force. It's kind of like that. Like sometimes I have to focus hard to try to connect to like Yah or like the idea of the darkness and gloom to bring it, and I can feel when I'm like fighting for it, when I'm getting weak, and even that's so bad. I learned that when you're trying to fight for it, you're losing because that you're putting fleshly strain. You're not just letting it flow. Like your fight to invoke it is actually just to trust Yah's gonna do it, so you don't even need to fight at all. But what makes you fight for it is like if you have any kind of guilt that you know that you were indulging in some kind of like fleshly inclination, thinking about something, looking about something, feeling something, meditating, like imagining like something, and delusional, whatever, like your imagination going about how things can be, or whatever it can be, going off on the past and whatever, trauma, emotion, and you go there. All of a sudden, like Yahoo calls you. He's like, "Yo," like he's like, "Bro," like he gets your attention, and once you meditate on him, and then like it starts to bring his gloom, right? There's like little actual examples I had. But then because I had that bad thought, all of a sudden the sun starts to come out. That's actually the enemy attacking. Because what the enemy is using to bring the thought out is he's using that little bit that you gave him, that energy from meditating on shenanigans, doing shenanigans, whatever. He can now take that energy, the taxes you gave him, and convert that to bringing out sun and everybody feeling the worldly vibes and whatnot. And what happens is it's like quicksand. You start digging your own pit because you freak out that the sun's coming out. You're like, no, 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 no. And you're trying to like like you start to like fight the sun, like you're like putting all this energy on worldly elements, like on the sun and the gloom. You're trying to make it happen. They're just now like, come on, bring it, give it up, give it up. You're now feeding them extra energy from your fear, from your worry, from your energy. You're strained. It's not by power, by might, but by the ruach. That's what that's talking about. So then, like right now, it's still gloomy, Barak Yehul, because I'm actually advancing right now as we speak. I'm actually coding something new because I was meditating on it in my subconscious level. One thing that I could not overcome was being able to get on my phone and yet still harness the power of the ruach. So what I'm learning is to be on my phone, but not really treat it like I'm on my phone. I'm just staying connected to Yah, and I'm just holding something in front of my face as I do it. And so I'm including Yah. Before, I would exclude Yah. I would get on the phone and I'd be looking at myself more than I should. How do I look? And I would imagine what y'all were seeing and what if I'm coming off right. See the sun starting. It just kind of slightly brightened up because I actually thought about it as I did it, and that's like fleshly, insecurities and stuff like that. So I started really meditating on like, okay, if I do the phone, I gotta like level up. I gotta evolve on that. I gotta like not give it energy, the phone any energy, not think of myself anything high. I'm just a conduit of the ruach. I'm a talking portal in the flesh of this information of the word, so y'all can get it. And yeah, right now the sun's not coming out, and I filmed it in the front, just in the beginning of the video first, so that I can make my point. Like if it does come out later, if I messed up by being on the phone and I need to practice more, or if I'm actually doing better and evolving. And it looks like we got it. It's still kind of overcast. It's a little bit out. Talking about a little bit much, but we're gonna switch the topic. Get back to the go in and back up, go in right and back up. And so we're zooming in, right? It's like zooming in a picture and we back up and look at the entirety and zoom in this part. So we're gonna zoom in this part right here. Yeah, there you go, gloom break, Rocky. Yeah, when I focus on like the ruach, these paradigms, distractions even come like at the same time. It's like that chess scene. Like you make your move, they make the move. It's like boom, boom. It's almost like they work at light speed. Like you ever play chess against a computer? Like you can sit there for 30 minutes trying to think of a move. As soon as you move, they make it right back to back because they think that quick. Reality's like that. Like the minute I thought about zooming out of that thought, zooming in, and I start seeing the projection of the way Yahuwah laid it out, the focus for me to carry it out. They brought the gloom because that's from Shamaim, that idea, that vision of zooming in, zooming out, and now let's focus on here. That was from the Ruach, so I brought the gloom. As soon as I did that and said that, distractions came by. And nonetheless, all that to say that, so I'm sharing this with you because this is how you do it, and you have to. So the way I started programming it was I was able to learn to focus on Yahuwah just from Shabbat, reading about the day of wrath. The Shabbat reading is the day of darkness and wrath and gloom. And so what they started doing on Shabbat was having, that's why I said that they would have like Yashayahu, a type of version of that, a glimpse of Yashayahu 60, bring out procession and the sovereigns and the best. They're trying to do that now. And you can receive it now in one sense. If you can trust yourself, you're strong enough to stay in the Ruach as you receive it, they'll give it to you. Because in one dynamic, they're doing it to trip you up. So if it trips you up, it trips you up. That's on you. You couldn't handle the baraka in the way Yahuwah wanted you to handle it. And the second dynamic, it actually is like a glimpse and a type of the actual, the nations bringing the wealth of the sea to you. They're already doing it. They have to because what they're trying to do is get you to distracted and pull your consciousness down into something in the world. So once you put your mind on something distracted, your attention, your focus, your energy in something in the world, you're no longer in Shamaim. Your energy is residing on Earth realm, given to the Earth realm thing. You're clung to it, And so that what they have to do, they have no choice. They hate to do it, I would think, because they're the enemy. But you're not giving into anything else, so they're going to give you your fantasies. They're going to make your wildest dreams come true, even at the expense of having to, do all kinds of things. So some of those things I'll say, like, I mentioned it before where I was at PB and I was just in the word reading, and all of a sudden this party came to put up a little barbecue pit, and it was like a woman who owned a bar, and she was she was lovely, and she came out all of a sudden, bam, started undressing on the thong and everything, and I helped her. I just grabbed a couple things and helped stage it, and she's like, you know what, I got you. Whenever the food's ready, I'll bring you a plate. And I was like, all right, cool. And I saw her making the food. I saw her passing it out, and I got up to like go ahead and get a plate, like see if it's like cool if I get one. But as I was getting up, like she noticed, and she was like, no, 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 sit down. I'll bring it to you. Like let me bring it to you. And the reason why I think I still wasn't given any energy. I was so like in La La Land, but with the world. I was in Kan Land. I was just in the word of Yahuwah. Like even as I was like I helped her. My mom's like, okay, let me get. You're like you ever went like in the middle of a movie or something back in the day or something. You're in maybe a book or read whatever an activity, and someone's like, hey, I need you to help me take out the trash or help me to do something. Can you lift this or cut this or plug this in or screw this in or something, right? And you go to do it, but your mind's still where you left off in that movie or that book or that thing you're doing. You're still there. So that's kind of how I was operating. That's kind of how you have to operate. Like even though they came and all, they were putting everything up, my mind was still like in what I was reading, like meditating on it, and they're trying to take that off. So even when I got up, like just to see the food, my mind, my subconscious, I could feel it still stuck there, and that's why they had a saying, "Hey, hey, get your head out of the clouds." That's almost like a fine print word incantation, play on words, and the fine print wordplay saying your consciousness is actually in the clouds. You're actually in the Shamayim above. And I used to have, I had a boss tell me that one time because of this very thing. I remember one time I was just so focused on the word and I was meditating. It was like right before Yahuwah told me to leave my job. This was the first time he told me to walk out of my job when I was like, just got married, just got an apartment. My mom was just born. We lived in Louisville by the lake and everything. And I hurt my foot and I didn't report it. And the next day I could barely walk. But Yahuwah had already told me like, hey, I want you to leave everything or leave this job because I'm gonna take you somewhere better. Because I think they're asking me to work on Shabbat, but I don't think I was keeping Shabbat yet. I was still on the fence about it. I had heard about it, but I didn't realize it took a couple of years to get me to that point. But yeah, I think they wanted me to work Shabbat. I'm like, nah, I don't think I'm supposed to work on. Even though I didn't keep Shabbat, I just knew I wasn't supposed to work on that Shabbat on seventh Yom. So I wouldn't. I just didn't want to work on that day, but I would still like go and hang out and do my own thing, consider it like a rest day, low key. I don't remember if that was exactly what it was, but I just know Yahuwah was telling me he's gonna call me out. And then when I was just having that meditation, I wasn't like listening to like I think he already gave me a few, a couple impressions to do something like that to just leave, and I didn't listen. And all of a sudden, a pallet fell on my foot, and it like bruised my foot, like fractured it, but I didn't report it. I thought I'd just be sore and go away, but the next day I could barely walk. But I went anyways, and I think that's what I did. Um, and I was kind of limping a little bit, and then it just so happened one of the coworkers there said some rude remark though, like he was kind of bullying me around, and then I was just thinking about the word, like, man, like, is this happening because you wanted me to leave? You were telling me certain things and I'm being afflicted, but I'm not listening. And I was feeling like he was like, well, if you don't listen, I'm just gonna like move on, and you can have your best guy now. You can just, I'll just let you be healed, and you just like forget it. I'm like, no, 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 I want to. And I was meditating on these things like that, talking with Yah. That's when the boss was like, I did something and maybe I missed something or didn't. And he's like, hey, yo, Raul. I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, you forgot to this or something. I don't know. He's like, man, take your head out of the clouds. I need you to take your head out of the clouds. And when he said that, I didn't take it like as an insult. I took it as like, even then, fine print in the Ruach, like, yeah, maybe my head, like I am in the clouds. Like maybe that's where my consciousness is. Like at the subconscious level, I was already understanding that. I was thinking like a child, believe like a child. Like you have to think that way, and I think natural. You have to think those things you're thinking in your head is the actual true reality, not the stuff that's happening. There's stuff that happens, and then you talk about these deep things. You're like, yeah, that's what it's all about, those deep things. But then the world wants you to separate those things. They want you to. These are the things you do, but these are the deep things you think about, but don't do nothing with. No, no, no. Those deep things you're supposed to act on and do something with. The natural realms you're doing is the delusion. That's the dream. That's the matrix you're walking in. Once you learn that difference and you learn to transfer that operation and operate in those deep things you're thinking about, and actually walk according to those deep things and make it like it's present now, then that's when it'll become more of a reality. The ruach realm invoking on arats, and that's how it works. And look, and there's maybe a little distraction because I didn't get distracted with those little guys coming up all of a sudden, Barak Yahuwah. Yeah, because the word of Yah, but then it can be a double edged sword like distraction. But I feel you, buddy. I used to like always do that. You watch old videos from years ago. I used to be giving a word in the ruach. Got some birds used to come, ducks and everything. I said, "Oh look, check it out," and I lose my word. And that was when I was at my A game, and I didn't realize it because I was doing it at such a childlike, uh, you know, belief level where I was just so locked in what I was in that thought. What I was saying, the thought is actually Shamaim realm. It's not just a thought. Thought has energy. Thought has mass to it. Thought is like sound vibration. There's a sound to your thoughts at the cellular, at the microscopic, atomic level. Thoughts have vibration, like sound waves. And what do sound waves do? You ever see them do those experiments with the sound waves, where they put water in it, right? And what happens? The water molds to the sound waves, right? They change the vibration of the sound, and it makes all these different patterns, right? The sound waves makes different patterns, like star or like coca bean type patterns, and the water molds to it or the sand molds to it. That's what your thoughts do. Reality is like the water, and reality shall have to mold to your thoughts. Depending on how much strength the sand grains and the ma'im have of their own free choice. If those free choice, if those other sand grains and ma'im are tied to strong, firm belief systems, convictions, then even if you try to like those thoughts you have elucidating the vibration of it might be a struggle to mold it to the thought pattern of your sound vibration, of your thought vibration. you know Something else I want to say about that. I will get back to that, because like your thought vibration, you see vibration in sound waves at the atomic level. Even your thoughts are vibration. They have weight to it. It has reality, so it's a vibration. It has mass. Scientology would measure that. I don't know what's trying to keep me locked into that thought, if I'm missing something, or that's just a distracting, intrusive thought to get me to ramble on. So I gotta be discerning of that. But nonetheless, you get that. That your thoughts are vibration too. It's sound. Has sound to it, humming at the atomic level. Your thoughts, and when I say your thoughts, I mean your meditation. So when you have a meditation of what your projected reality should be, what the projected reality should be of Yahuwah, you're putting out a shape. It's putting out a vibration that makes like a kukab shape, like what you see sound waves do when they put water and sand on it, and it makes everything follow suit and mold to it. That's not happening by action, by words. That's just vibration. And that's the power of amunah, your thoughts, and the measure of belief and power, trust you have to create that shape. Everybody else, all your reality is like ma'im, the water and the sand that has to follow in suit according to that vibration, depending on the strength of the conviction of that reality, of the potency of the truth that's behind it. At the end of the day, it all depends on how much truth there's to it, how much conviction there's to it, and it's all mathematically calculated. It's all right. It's all, the more true it is, the more righteous it is, the more conviction, the stronger that pattern is gonna hold and draw and convict and really put everybody in reality in the mold of that vibration of your meditation to Yah. That's why I say you don't have to necessarily speak it. If you're just saying words and it's just you in your own sphere, that's just happening around your own sphere. But if you really believe this is from Shamaim above, and then Yahuwah over everything, and that's your meditation over all universes, then that universe, that vibration is going to extend to all universes. Earth realm, no problem. It'll boom, just completely cover it, canopy right over the covering over Arats. You know what I mean? It'll just like boom, remove the veil of falsehood of death, sin and death, and cover it with the steam of Yahuwah, the light of His truth. People are gonna, and moment by moment, situation by situation, be impressed and inclined to hear it. They're gonna understand it, and they're gonna follow suit. Sun's coming out because I'm getting excited. That's emotional charge, and I was aware of that. Like, man, I'm getting too emotional. And look, the sun's starting to come out, it's starting to get a little bit brighter. Because people are coming by and it was getting me excited to want to project louder so they hear it. And so I was connecting to them, giving them charge, and then their vessels that are conduits to power up the world, the Monsters Inc. The Monsters Inc. reality to power up the sun. And then they got the vibes I gave them, but they transmutate that. They transmutate the energy of eternal peace, love, and joy, or the word of Yah, the truth, and they can, subconscious level with the spirits, the demons, and all that, trans convert that over to like, the counterfeit version of peace, love, and joy according to the world, according to what's fun, according to the, you know what I mean. So it's a lot, but it's not. You just, this is reality. You just play with it like a kid. You're playing with toys, and you're just trial and error, and the math always has to add up. You can't create a new reality that undermines another. Like a law, like a universal law of this stuff I'm telling you. If one contradicts the other, then one of those is wrong, or you're not. It's not adding up. You're doing something wrong. You have to have the intent to make it all add up. To make it a perfect lined up universe. You're creating a universe. We're little kids, and right now, little universe, little eternal kids, little babes, putting the triangle hole in the triangle, the triangle hole, the circle in the circle hole. Right now in this fleshly lachai, you know, and some of the mysteries who were revealed to me, like as Chakma, like, you see babies, infants are born in this world, uh, so they need diapers, they poop their underwear and whatnot, they poop and they soil themselves, they need someone to change them, and how do they leave? They 80 years old and they leave the same way, Salah. You know what I'm saying? Like they can have an entire high time on this earth, yet when they're 80 years old, guess what? They're still the same person, the same state. They didn't learn anything. They're still, as an infant in Yah's eyes, that's his sort of like his dark humor. They're still soiling their pants. They need someone to change them because they never progressed. They didn't. He's trying to show that imagery is kind of his parabolic wisdom on a mysterious level. Like, you think you learned something. You are still infants. You really didn't learn anything. You just passed through and experienced like a breath. So there's a lot of things like that, like Yahuwah showed me with that. But that's not that was a little bit appropriate for this time, so you can understand, because we're not that. We're right now infants, and maybe we've been born in such a time as this because we're not going to have that fate. We're not the generation. We're not even going to make it to the world's going to end. Yahushua's coming back in our high time within a few years, like in like the next 10 years for sure. And so we're not gonna see that. Yeah, I mean, because he already saw in alternate universes realities. Like if he puts us in ancient times, we probably would have that mind that already thinking ahead of our time. So what better place to put us than in the end times that would complement what we're at best to give us all the tools we need for time fitting such as that to create worlds without end, universes, right? So then back to you know, putting out the vibration with your meditation, right? You're putting out vibration with your meditation. Everything has to follow suit according to the strength of the truth and conviction. So that's why people have the ability, everybody, to kind of like they see their reality according to their beliefs. Everybody's able to kind of manipulate the reality according to the way they see it. That's why people, get paranoid or whatnot. Everybody's seeing the reality uh, that they agree with. Whatever kind of, if it ain't the word of Yah, it's some kind of delusional reality of the enemy. But they see what they want to see. They see the way they imagine Chai. They see it their way, the way they were taught to see it, the way they were conditioned by the powers that be, the spirit of falsehood, and but they're gonna see it like, so you can't break them away from it because they've agreed to it according to the measure of truth. So there has to be some measure of truth, and it's truth that it is delusion. So that's a truth in itself, and so it's gonna be real because he always says, "I'll give them a spirit of delusion." But nonetheless, like the math has to add up for as strong for its strength to uphold that reality. And that's why you see other paradigms conflict with their reality because the math don't add up. You got things like in the evolutionary paradigm that doesn't add up. Things like in science that doesn't add up. You got all kinds of things that don't add up according to the scientific paradigm, evolutionary theory, and whatnot. And that's why their reality crumbles. It's like their foundation, their world is built on sand, and so it starts to fall by the paradigm of the word of Yah. So the paradigm of the word of Yah crumbles every reality. It's the most truthful one. The math adds up every time. It's the most convicting one. The conviction of it, if you have it, is sure and steadfast. It's trustworthy and unwavering. The convictions people have according to their paradigm, it's kind of like vibrations that's constantly shifting its frequency because they think, well, maybe it's this way. Well, maybe it's aliens. Maybe it's this way. How do we know it's not? So their shifting makes them insecure. It makes the sand. You can't really make out the pattern. It's not solid math because it shapes from one to another, but it's kind of shifting back and forth. So it's just sand going everywhere, being scattered. It's not holding up. But our paradigm, our belief in Yahuwah's reality, eternal reality, is so concrete because we know it's truth. We know the word is truth. We know Yahusha's truth. It's perfect math. 2 + 2 = 4. It's so concrete. Everything is gonna feel the presence of that vibration of those patterns when they walk into. They're gonna follow in suit and fall right in line to that pattern. They're going to be a grain of sand that goes right into those lines. Very few are hardly sparsely ever just out of the pattern, right? You see little dust sprinkles, but most of them are like, boom, they lock in suit. And that happens every time I think about the biblical narrative as I meditate on it. Everybody comes around because why? Because that's Yahuwah telling me that when you're meditating on it, you're invoking it, so it's bringing it. And that pattern is Yashayahu 60, that the nations shall come, the wealth of the sea comes to you. They come in procession, they're sovereigns, to bring you the best of their land as offerings, to the children of Yahuwah, to Sion. And so everything follows suit to that paradigm because it's just true. 2 + 2 = 4, and it's an eternal paradigm. It's the one that is self-sustained by Yahuwah's breath alone. It's the one he's like, this is mine, so it knocks all the other ones out at any time when you dwell on it. It just shuts all the other paradigms down. The way they feel as a symptom is like, yeah, my stuff is vanity compared to that. Like it just makes them feel like, oh man, compared to what you're saying, I feel like I was just meditating on vanity, foolishness. Like they just easily let go of their thought because they know it's only according to the temporary paradigm. It's meaningless in regards to eternity. That it's only for this time. But they know what I'm saying. I'm saying things that are gonna stand forever. And so if what happens is the patterns of it plays out, like I was saying about the woman, back to that, as I was meditating judgment, this and that, all of a sudden they're coming putting up a barbecue, and yeah, I helped her, do something just cause like just show a little bit of a, helping hand. Like just love thy neighbor as yourself. She was struggling with something. I could have been all well. That's on her. I probably still would have got a barak out of it, but nonetheless, in the end, she's like, no, 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 you sit there. I'm gonna serve you. My mind was on the word. Even while she was doing that, I was still like thinking on the thought, like to go back to what I was dwelling on because I saw her make the food. I got up to get it, but she said sit back down. All that process, I was thinking about the food. I was like, still, like, let me grab the food so I can get back to the word what I was meditating on. When you're meditating on, your meditation is like the vibration, like sound vibrations. That where they pour the sand and the water, it goes into different shapes and molds the reality around you. So that meditation and the word was so strong, even she was molding to it. So she's like, I'm gonna serve you, is what I'm trying to get at. So I sit down. I didn't realize at this time. I'm just having these revelations now. I sat down and she came serving me. She came in a thong and a bikini and everything. She literally put on the little act. She was excited to do it. She would start performing. She was like skimping. How do you say it? Like trotting to me, like kind of like dancing to me, and bent over and was like jiggling her stuff. Like, here you go, my servant, my sovereign. Like, I'm your servant. She was like, here you go, my sovereign, and she kind of like bend down. I was like in these little lawn chairs that kind of sit on the ground, and the little beach lawn chairs, and she bowed down over, bent over, and she hooked it up. It was like chicken with mashed potatoes. She gave me two big pieces of chicken, biggest and most delicious chickens I've ever had ever. And I promise you, I'll never forget it. I remember saying that, and I still remember it till now because that was Shamaim stuff. And then she gave me a hot dog, but she put two dogs in the bun. And I was like, what? This girl put two dogs in the bun. Now I'm looking at that differently because my mind hadn't got perverted yet. I was like a kid, just thinking she was giving me a double portion. But now, like, with everything I done seen and been through and how they speak in demonic tongues, they reflect things in demonic subliminals. That could have just been her telling on herself, her nastiness, putting two hot dogs in her bun, if you know what I mean. But that's just what it is, And but nonetheless, that's the dark side of it. The light side of it is she was giving me a double portion. And I was like, yeah, Brock Yahuwah. And so I brought the sun up, but that's all right. They keep doing things. They're on a system. They're on a program. I feel the one zeros. It comes in waves, and then I speak up a little, give a little more energy, and then everybody's cool now. And they're all and me talking about it, they're like, dang, like it's not as fun when he knows we're doing it. Like I know what's going on, but it is what it is. I'm still practicing. Like, but it has to be done this way. It's a double-edged sword because I need y'all to get the message because we need to. If there's any true real Natsarym out there, if you're not a freaking 1 and 0 coded bot, and here's the thing, you won't know you are. If you have any inclination of the flesh you're operating in, you're subscribing to any worldly paradigm. You're all about that dollar bill, that all seeing eye, God, and you trust in that. You trust in man, curse of you. You use pagan words and terms. I don't follow Adam Fink, Parable of the Vineyard, because that to me, if you can't see past him, then you're probably a part of it too, because that dude is so polished up on his word. You would think he's the elect. He's got thousands of followers, but then he always uses a lot of the pagan terms that are of the words of other deities. Scripture says, Shamu Exodus 23:13. All that said, take heed and make no mention of the names of false mighty ones. Don't let their names come out your mouth. And he says them very lusciously, very lustfully, very very exotically. He's a spiritual manifestation of those words in the truth. To make it sound nice, to draw, to attract, to make it sound attractive in the movement, so that people are drawn to it subconsciously, lust after the way he says it. And because I feel it, I sense it. I'm meticulous. I'm very observant, and I observe things very at the subtle cellular level of how it like moves your inclination, like it tickles your flesh. You're at the cellular level, how it kind of like sways you. And so I am a alternate universe reality version of myself at the cellular level. So that's why in this entity, I feel every little subtle thing at the cellular level, because I'm a cellular level version of it. But nonetheless, cosmic version of it. So I feel all that, what he does, how he says it. I'm seeing that cosmic cellular level version of himself, that alternate universe reality cellular level of himself, where he's just the names of those pagan idols, the pagan, those false words we shouldn't be using. But then like says 99.9% of scripture, then throws out God and GRACE and all this, and tries to make it subtle, but very seductive. The word he does it seductively. What's the manifested parable of that in the earthly fleshy way? Like when you see those little cam models that are bending over, like they're kind of like, those reels with the girls in their bikinis, like they're just kind of talking to you, but they might hit a little quick three angle, like a 75-degree angle on their butt. Like you just see just a little, you see one entire cheek almost a crack, just like a slight 10% of the other cheek, and it got you so excited for a split second, and she turned it away while she just said a little 5-second message like, oh, da da da, and it's like boom, and it's like it makes you want to watch more. And that's basically what a lot of these teachers do. With their spiritual fornication at the cellular level, when they use like parable Adam of the Fink, is nothing. That's nothing more than a cam model, only fan model in the form of words. He knows how he uses words sexually like that, like a spiritual, lustful, sexual incantation that gives 90% scripture. Imagine a girl that's giving you scripture and she's in a bikini, and like she does it so right on point, where she doesn't really like give you expose everything, but she knows how to hit the angle just right to keep you entertained and excited. Well, that's what those words do to your flesh too. Their spiritual connections, familiar spirits. It's your familiar spirit connection to the old ways, the way of Babylon and Egypt and all that. When you were in the world, Christianity. Supposed to X out of that. That's your X. So that's why he uses those words, because it's a familiar spirit. When the flow of the talk is sort of brings it up every now and then, the familiar spirit of Christianity, even though he's supposedly against it and this and that. But what's really being measured is at the cellular level of what your ruach is clinging to at the spiritual level. You got to discern the spirits, and the spirit is a fornicating, fan only model in the form of words, using the words we should not say with pagan etymologies. From Exodus 23:13. And all that said, you take heed and make no mention of the names of false mighty ones. So all the words he uses have etymology to the pagan words, etymologies to false mighty ones, to the deities. So he'll say them, and when he says them, it's like those cam only models, fan only models that are telling you like, I like to cook it this way, and then they kind of bend over and show you a little cleavage or a little crack. They kind of hit you at that angle where it's not enough to say, oh, they're doing too much, but it's enough to say, well, it's still kind of modest. It's just a little little teaser, little and but it keeps you entertained enough to keep watching, keep going. That's what Adam Fink does with his words. That's how he's being used spiritually, and he's got the masses. And I don't know if he is aware that he's doing that. I don't know if he's a demon in the flesh. And the way I know is because I've been to that demon realm where I've had to confront all the demons and everybody in their flesh, and I would see that as the forefront of people's operation. Whereas like they might be saying something, but I'm seeing the subconscious alternate universe reality version of themselves of how they're trying to say things in a hidden code. I see the motive in their but the spirit of it, and from that realm as 90% of its actual forefront projection, then the actual way they're operating becomes the subconscious part to me. Like what they're projecting their 90% as becomes their 10%, and their subconscious 10% becomes my 90%. I see all of that. I've been through those realms. And so what I was able to do was like, depending on what I was seeing and what I could feel, I would use certain wordplay. I would speak to the actual demon, to that spirit, and if they respond to it, react to it according to what I'm seeing, then I know it's a demon because they'll laugh about it when I call it out. So I'll do that with Adam on Parable of Vineyard when he's like doing a little thing. I would speak to his demon. I would speak to his spirit, and he would like flinch and freak. Like he would lose his track of thought because I called it out. And the only reason that would happen because it's real. Otherwise, if there's no reality, there's no reaction. But there's reality, reaction. So it's real because that's the reality I'm speaking to. So I would like speak to pastors and all kinds of teachers, their spirits, their demon through the phone. I'm not talking about reality. I'm talking about I'm watching them do a live video, and I'll be like, stop using those pagan words. You're a demon, da 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 da, and they'll be like, oh, I just forgot what I was thinking. Da, da, da. Why? Because I called out the demon, and I distracted that demon. I distracted that demon's train of thought. It's thinking, and that's what was happening. And so when they do stuff like that, that they got a demon, and that they're operating by a demon. And sometimes people say it takes one to know one. Yeah, I like I said, see, they're screaming because I'm calling out my own stuff. That's what they hate when you call it the truth. One part of my repentance and witnessing is like I always said, I never lied. I said, I've been like that, like Doctor Strange movie, Multiverse of Madness is like a parable of me, where like he had to go and raise up one of the dead versions of himself, and he had to do black magic to do it, dark stuff, and to harness that, but for the right cause. I went through something like that where I was on meth and I died, and Yahusha rose me back up, but through an alternate universe reality version of myself, he brought me into this reality. So it's a transrealm reality with another alternate universe reality version of myself that didn't die, to put me in the one that did die, to live all that experience. Now, you're gonna like, hey, I'm gonna take on this reality now, because I died in the hospital. I'm saying I was on meth, but I know that I died. I was like, all right, I put my trust in you. And like, just go to sleep, you'll be fine. I'm like, you're gonna feel you're gonna die. You're gonna die. I'm like, you know what? My heart was stopping. I hadn't slept in a week, and I already knew I was overdosing. And they gave me a bunch of pills to go to sleep. I'm like, all right, well, it's just that thing where it's like a nightmare. It was like, just go to sleep. I'm like, I'm gonna die. Like I can't. It's my heart's stopping, and they're like, no, you'll be fine. But I woke up. It felt like I was waking up for the first time, and I felt something different, and that was the alternate universe reality version of myself. And it took me a while to realize what had happened. They got another alternate universe reality version of myself that had been through all the exact same uh, experiences, because they're all lined up, and at different points he might say this is gonna go here this way. This one might I'm gonna try. So it was one that was lined up with all the same experiences, except one that he just made one not to die in that moment and put that one in me to unite. So because that's who was compassionate and favor. He's awesome like that. So he rose me from the dead, and nonetheless, a part of me was dead. Like he literally rose a dead man walking, and so that's why you saw like for a while, there's a lot of demonic things around me because they don't want to let me go. They're like, nah, we rightly killed him and took him out, and he offed himself and went out with all that. But he was like, nah, I'm gonna give him a chance. Like this is let's see what he would do if he just had one more shot because he still has enough credits for this because he was calling out, putting his trust in me and kind of thing, you know. And so I this is where I'm at now. You know, I stay clinging to him. So it's crazy stuff, but it's amazing. But nonetheless, from that, that was part of my mind scattering into thousands of pieces in different realms. So they all take a piece. But when it came back into one in me and brought back, you know, coded me with all the realms, even the demonic realms, so I can sense them and feel them how they're operating and so but that's how I know how to call out their BS. So in a way, it's one of those things that you who allowed it, but for Tub, you know, kind of like Shaw. I gave him a hard time that he was a wolf in sheep's clothing, um, you know, but yeah, Yahuwah allowed it because it would bring the message to the entire world, and then at the end, let them know they got to discern and come out of that too. You know, it's a lot done away with doctrine. Um, in a sense, I'm kind of like that, but not that I'm a wolf in sheep's clothing. Don't misunderstand. This is where a Haba comes in, where Yahuwah tests us. But in the sense that I went off track and came back, but it's necessary that had to happen this way to give y'all these alternate universe reality truths because I died for it and I was eagerly able to die for y'all. You know, yesterday, you know, I was giving a word similar to this on the trolley, and I was talking about Yahusha, how he died for us. Well, I brought it up after that, but I was going there. But as I was happening, I dropped my bag that had my glass jar of like a Kool Aid type thing, like a juice, you know, a little red squirt. So I was like in a sense turning water into wine. I had water and I had that little juice thing you squirt in there. Actually, I still got it on me. Let me see. And so I like to like make it look like water into wine. Now, I didn't try to fake it. Like I'll let people see that I'm doing that, but it's a parabolic reflection, you know. And that's Yahuwah got Mio on there because that's Yahuwah saying Mio that he's mine, that I'm his. Praise Yah. So everything around my reality is coded like that, like I'm Yah's and this and that. It's pretty cool. But they're manifestations of the reality, you know. But then it's got a background, a backstory to why it's that, and you know. But nah, that's just the cover up. It's really that I'm Yah's. Praise Yah. So nonetheless, the glass jar broke, and it's like blood, and then that's when he was giving me a word. He's like, "You're like me. You died for them. Like you." And my intentions of all that, wanting to know what meth was all about, was so I can share it to people, let them know, see what else is out there, if it can benefit the rain in some kind of way. Was my true lob's motive, and and even realizing that I even sabotaged my own marriage, my first marriage, just to be closer to Yah. Like that was the real reason, you know. Like I just knew I wanted to be closer to Him. Like I had all kinds of weird insecurities, you know, being naked, you know, like in front of her for some reason. I don't know why. Something happened when I was a kid or what, but like I would never let myself be like I was never in my first marriage. She never really seen me naked, you know. Like I would. It was just like when we got together, you know, make sure only when I was like strong, up and strong, and like, and even then, like not fully from like just like you could see me from right here, from close up, from just where you know where you need to see me, but not I don't know, just like the not just walking around like that. I don't know. So I'm gonna get back to that because that ties it up to the message, you know, about me going to Black Speech. You know why now I'm a nudist. So Brock Yahuwah, I know that word was inspired to like, hey, dude, the message, and this is all gonna tie up. So you just gotta hear me out. Um, so yeah, so I had insecurities about that, and I mean, I'm not saying ask her, but you know, she knows, and so I was always like covered up like that. So and I knew that was evil in a way because it wasn't like righteous, moral, like modesty. It was like there was an insecurity or something that was like it would give me anxiety. It would give me anxiety or depression. It would make me act funny. It would make me insecure. Make me paranoid about her. It would mess with me, you know. And so that's why I'm at where I'm at now. This was my therapy for like how Yahuwah led me, so it's a real thing because I don't have that no more. Brock Yahuwah, praise yeah. But nonetheless, real quick though, a part of it had to do with like one of my outlets to like rationalize it was like, well, you know what, I just had such a hard time with like that I was like, it just overall can be stressed out sometimes, and I was like, man, I'd just rather be with you, yeah, alone with you, so I don't have to deal with it. I don't want to be all worried about my body or insecure, being naked or whatnot. That's the enemy because I'm calling out my truth, I'm calling out the true reality, I'm calling out the truth. And so, nonetheless, yeah, I basically, even though the way it happened, it's just one of those things you got to roll with. The like I was talking about backstory and the cover story and all that was I told this Russian woman like, oh yeah, one day we're gonna be like the sovereigns of the Arats, we're gonna rule and reign, and we're gonna become on top and remultiply the earth with our seed and be the strong nations and all that, and those who are up and all that, like y'all are gonna have to be our servants. I don't know what made me motivate me to tell her that. I think that because I just assumed she was Russian, but I associate it as like white or like the oppressors. I just put her in that category, and but for some reason, just the way it laid out on the maybe on the just the fleshly paradigm of the geographical thing, where Russians apparently they don't really see a lot of Mexicans out there, so it was already like turn on to them. It's already like it's a thing. Like Russians like indigenous dark people, because they've never seen it. So it's like wow, like Indians and Middle Eastern people and Mexicans and all that. And so anyways, yeah. So but it played out in my favor because it gave me a glimpse of the restoration. So I told her that, like, yeah, you're gonna have to rule us, and that was it. She changed. She got all started serving. That's when like she would show up and would bring. I made food. I made this, and she'd get all like very extra friendly. But I just didn't mind it. Like I didn't pay attention. I was trying to. I was so you know, Christianity doctrinized pagan. Like I thought like a pagan. I thought like it's all about love and then like just treat your enemies kind and all and there's an essence to that, but a lot of that's even counterfeit. You gotta think like whatever's worldwide mainstream pushed out is all lies. So even that version of the religious spirit of it, like the Christianity thing, is also a counterfeit. That's what makes men, that's when I started even suffering a little bit with like you start to get like erectile dysfunction and you start to get weak. It just makes you like demasculates you as a man. And all that was done, you look at the Roman Greco era, there was a lot of homosexuality going on too. So it's that homosexual spirit also in that Roman time that is now in the spirt of the Christianity of the modern day pagan. When they say, "Do you feel the spirit?" They're feeling a homosexual spirit. It's that soft, kind, making men cry when men hug men and grab on each other over time kind of spirit. That's what that is. It's part of the yoga spirit. It's the Holy Hindu demon. It's the spirit of Grace, is a feminine spirit. They say, "Oh, you just have to accept this Grace." Those are the three Graces. Those are demons, and one's of what benevolence, or they call it chariot, but I don't say because that's the actual name. But the elegance, the majesticness, the way you sway, the way you project yourself with. So that's the way pastors are able to project themselves and speak smooth and have that style, and guys like the men and they all have that thing where they look masculine but they're kind of soft and they're all trying to just like perform and please each other, and like they're just like putting on a show in some sense. And people would tell me that like y'all Christians are fake, y'all just put on a show, and like no, we're not, like this is the real thing. But I didn't know what they meant, but I knew they meant something because they can feel something that we weren't seeing. And once you come out of that and learn the truth, come out of those word incantations, it starts to masculinate you with the right words, and you get the right kind of bitter, like not bitter, but like you get the right kind of zeal, like hate what Yah hates towards those words and what it did, how great that falsehood is. You see how great the enemy is. It makes you a man. It makes you man up and realize you're at war. It was a battlefield at the end of the day, spiritually, with word incantations, wordplay, through agreements. So that's gonna make you have your guard up at all times and make you really man up. You don't got time to be kissing and hugging every man that comes your way and demasculating yourself. Nah. You know what I'm saying? So then you man up through that. So that's where it's a different spirit. You know and it makes you masculine. And anytime I start to do it, they always try to bring like I take a Zoom class every week, and then they bring up miraculously what I've been going through, and they try to make it seem like I'm wrong, like they try to like make me feel condemned or convicted, like yeah, maybe we're aggressive because we struggle with an insecurity and that aggressive we have hate and bitterness, and I'm like they're trying to make me feel like I have a problem, but I don't have hate or bitterness towards anybody. I have a righteous zeal for the word of Yah, and I hate the lie. But people are clung to that, so that's their problem. If they got to go for that, so they can't understand me because I can't be put in the paradigm of their vibrational, meditational pattern thoughts of reality. I'm not in that. Mine override yours, because it's the one of Yah. So praise Yah. So these words are the vibration of truth. It's a manifestation of that pattern in the form of words through my meditation. Praise Yah. So nonetheless, yeah, Black's Beach, it's a double-edged sword, or not Black's Beach, PB. When she served me the food, things kept coming like that procession. There was like some Olympic gymnast girl that brought out her big mat to tumble there with the dude who does like he's a trainer for tumblers for the Olympics. I don't know, just I kept meeting like these celebrities that kept coming out there and were performing for me, and every time I was like getting excited, like, oh, they're putting on a show for me, and I gave him my energy. Like the sun would come out, people come out, they're drinking, it was a great time, and keep them in their delusion. So I'm not doing them any service by giving into it. I'm a part of it now. See what I'm saying? And so, but when I did stay strong and didn't give into any of it, that's when they were bringing out the yoga girls bending over in front of me in thongs while I'm reading the scriptures on Shabbat. One Shabbat happened to be the one time that the dude that was hanging out with me came back. That's why I think he was like their spiritual pimp, like he was their strong tower, their like source, their power source. They came out and it was like a brunette in the thong right in front of us on one side. Turned around, there's a blonde girl folding up the little wrap thing, and she's just butt up in there. I can smell it, smell all her junk, like right behind me, and just like on a Shabbat out there in the park, and like yeah, it's gonna make you get crazy, make you want to do something, like that's how they mess with you, that's how they torment you, like because if it had been any other day, like well, if you just give me the opportunity, maybe one of these days, I'm just gonna if they do that, they know what they're doing. I'm just gonna take it, and that's your fault. You shouldn't be doing that. But then they do it on Shabbat, and you can't do that on Shabbat, and they know that because it's a demonic projection in reality. They're like, yeah, Shabbat, we can't do nothing now. And I didn't. And I didn't have no inclination to. That's how strong and firm I am for the word. It didn't even tempt me. I saw it. I'm like, all right. I'm like, it's Shabbat. Like, I got back in the word, and they hated that it manifested a cop trying to stir up my emotion and get me all. Like, he's like, you can't have a card out here. Like, all of a sudden, a cop. Never had a cop. One of the times I said was confronted by a cop like 3 times the entire year that I was out there, because you said you'll never have any problems with cops, or you won't get taken to jail, like I'll keep you protected. And the 3 times that cops came out, they let me go. They didn't. They could ID me and saw my warrant, but they never did. And so he was even like, you got ID? Like, what's your name? I'm just gonna run you real quick. I'm like, nah, I'm okay. I'd rather you're not. I'm a citizen of New Jerusalem. I don't subscribe to the law of the land like that. I'm a free man. I'm a free man of the land. I'm a citizen of New Jerusalem. So like, I don't have a name according to your world paradigm. I told him straight up like that, and he was like, everybody was like, whoa. Like at the time, because of the ruach, it was just so it comes coded with the ruach according to your obedience. Boom, and it just like they fell back, like in the spirit, like everybody kind of fell backwards, For I promise you, they fell backwards, like in the ruach. It kind of like, when I said that, I felt it. Everybody got quiet, and then he's like, all right, well, he was like scared. He's like, we'll just put that card up somewhere, put it back. I don't want to see it. I'm gonna come back later on. I'm gonna give it to you later on this night because I know it's your Sabbath day. He's all scared. Like, I'm respect this your Sabbath day, and you can't work. You're not gonna do that. That's all. He's like, well, put the card back at least. I can't Shabbat. Can't do no work. I'm not gonna labor for that. And then he's like, okay, fine. I'll give you till sundown. If I see that card out here in the evening, at sundown, I'm gonna find you and I'm gonna give you a ticket and I'm gonna run you and all that. And so, but he knew what's up. Like, it was spiritual warfare. I was in another realm. Like, in one realm, like, there's a natural version of that playing out. We're just talking. We don't. But I'm not operating. I am that inner conscious, that subconscious part of realm where it's spiritual spirits, and I'm the Ruach, Yahuwah, Yahusha, and the Ruach be in him, me as one, and I'm telling them what's up, and his demons are telling me what's up and what we're gonna do, and I'm like, all right, so be it. And so but if I had looked at that girl's butt and gave into it any emotion, you know what I'm saying? The blonde girl would have been over the thong, I would have smelt that and wanted to fantasize about that, then that would have gave them enough charge for the cop to have more authority. It works to the measure of the charge. They have to have a certain amount of charge, energy, to overpower yours. Mine would have been given up. I wouldn't have said that in the strength of that Ruach. He would have had more to say, like, give me your ID right now, or I'm just going to arrest you. We're going to fingerprint you. We're going to find out who you are. But he couldn't do that because the Ruach was more powerful, so he had to submit. So that's why you got to stay obedient. That's the power of obedience. And so, and I didn't realize that then. I'm just thankful. I was just so strong at that time that I got to, like, I understand it now that, I did that. I'm glad I made that choice. Where I'm like, and then I got to see the outcome because I think that was all a domino effect. It was all a combination of attacks that they had already staged out, assuming I would give into that booty more than I did. What was supposed to happen in their plan was girls supposed to bend over. They had one in the front. If that one didn't give me, the one in the back would. Because even the brunette in the front was coded where they put like a disgust charge on her, where like I looked at her and I just was like disgusted. And then even the guy I was with, who was like the source of it, like the realm of it, ambience of it, was like Satan in the flesh type of thing, was even kind of like, it's like, whoa, yeah, she just gave me a weird vibe. I'm like, yeah, I felt disgusted too, right? He's like, yeah, I can feel like the nastiness. And at the time you think that's your friend, but really he's just affirming what the charge that they're putting out, so you can identify with it, get intimate with that, to reason with it. So then when I turn around, all of a sudden there's a blonde girl bent over, and her vibe made me feel a little euphoric inside. It would, like, the contrast would make you want to cling to one and not the other. See how the tactic was staged? So they put that charge. They can code people with a charge to make you disgust or feel despised for somebody. That's the enemy controlling the world. So this brunette had this disgust vibe. When I turned and see the blonde girl, I had this euphoric, like, whoa, I got excited vibe, and I could smell her and everything. But what I was supposed to do was, because of the contrast, was to get so excited to, like, want to lean in and think and meditate and dwell, even though it's Shabbat. And I was supposed to gather up the charge, take all my charge, and I'm giving it to her. She's just a conduit. She's just sucking my energy to give it to the cop. Then that's like football, like foot game. It's like a game. Then she hands that baton over to the cop. Now he's holding my charge, and he has the power and authority to be like, you, why do you have this card out? What's your name? No, give it to me right now. Give me your name. You're going to jail. But it backfired, because when I saw the girl in the thong, I'm like, oh, it's Shabbat, it's Sabbath. I got to stay obedient to the word. I'm not going to break this for anybody or nothing. And it was just like everything was like everything got like still. There's just like quiet, like what just happened? And nonetheless, the cop comes out like anyways, like going according to plan, like ready for the baton, because they already put energy, they already put it in motion. It's like once it's been funded and paid for, it's been initiated, they already made their move. The chess piece, right? The combination of the chess moves already been made. So he had to make his move. So he came out waiting for the baton to charge. And when he came near where she was right there. So when that baton got handed over in the spiritual realm, he was just like, he didn't have no power. He's like, you're not supposed to have a cart? And he's like, yeah, I know. I didn't know that. I put it up when I'm done Shabbat. And he's like, what's your name? I'm going to run your ID. I'm like, sorry, I'm a citizen of Yerushalayim. I don't ascribe to my earthly name. I renounced and denounced it. I'm a citizen of Yerushalayim above, And he just got quiet. Like, he had no charge, no energy to say anything else. He kind of like I said, fell back. And he's like, all right, like, what just happened? How come I don't? Where's the energy I needed to arrest him and do all that? He didn't have it, and I was like, oh, he said, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go, and I'm gonna just come back and check, and that cart better not be here. Like, all right, he's like, you enjoy your Sabbath, sir, because they have to obey and submit. If you're being obedient to Yah, then you have the authority, you have the power, you know. And that's what we're trying to do. That's the restoration of New Yerushalayim. If it hasn't been established and it's being rebuilt now through you, you're not being obedient. There's something you're not being obedient. You're not doing what I'm doing. You have to be at least where I'm at. And that's off the phone as much as possible so you can be working like this. I might be actually wasting my time with you if you're not the real thing. Y'all might be a projected, fake, thing like the blonde and all that. Facebook to harness my energy to talk about this got me under the influence, the impression, think I'm actually talking to real Kurashim out here, and everybody's just a stage demon in the flesh. That's how I feel about it. Are you? And this is why I say, like, if you don't know, if you're operating like Adam Parable of the Vineyard, you won't think you are, but in some way, they don't need you to know that you are. They just need you to be in line with some of those demonic principles, demonic compromises, using the names of false mighty ones like Adam, and then he gets filled with that spirit and he's one with it, and it's a familiar spirit. He likes saying those words, and other people that like those words, like that Christianity way of preaching with those words, they need to hear those words to feel comfortable and they can be pacified. Then that familiar spirit's for them, but it keeps them under the same delusion, and they're just a part of the program too. So everything's going well for them, and they think they're right, and they think they're, Yah's got their back, and they're coming together. Man, they're just being brought together, probably like man, for the judgment. Who knows? But hey, y'all being brought together, maybe to establish our land. Go ahead. Like, I just realized there's all these congregations. There's a 12 tribe group out here in San Diego. They got land and everything. Cool. Build it up. Build up another house. They won't let me stay there because I made a big deal about not wearing tassels. About them not wearing tassels. Like, how come you don't wear tassels? Like, it's not a commandment. I mean, that's like necessarily by Yahushua. That was just a certain principle for them because they were breaking in. Like, man, the word says man doesn't live by bread alone, but every word that comes out of the mouth of Yah gives eternal high. Once Yahuwah spoke that word, put on tassels, that became part of every word coming out of the mouth of Yah. And they're like, you need to leave. And I'm like, you know what? Build up my land. I'm going to come back for it. Because what does Scripture say? You keep my Torah, you stay obedient. I'm going to give you land that you did not till. I'm going to give you valleys. I'm going to give you fruit-bearing trees that you did not grow, wells that you did not dig, houses that you did not fill. Oh, yeah. So I don't got nothing, but I see everybody. I see it all around me. So praise Yah. I'm just waiting for it. Barak Yahuwah. That's just Yahuwah making sure they get it nice and right for us. They're putting up constantly new buildings and new houses, remodeling them and all that. Thank you. They put the latest, greatest technology in it. Praise Yah. And then they shall not enjoy it. They're going to build it and not get to enjoy the fruit of it. We shall. Those who guard the least commands, keeping tassels on, not mentioning names of false mighty ones. If you're not doing that, man, I do better when I ghost off Facebook anyways. I have more power. I get on here in case there might be someone actually real. But I feel like all the Kodashim, the real ones, are probably already on at least the level I'm on, like I say, and some. I'm probably the least of them. I'm the least of them, still trying to, like, guys, come on, and they're already like in the wilderness, like, leave them alone. You should have let them alone a long time ago. And they're invoking the Ruach of Yahuwah, bringing on the. But I know it works when I do it, even with the phone. Like, Yahuwah kind of makes me a hybrid with it. Like, I can do both because that's how much my love is eagerly able to go. I don't say will because that's a dead man's policy. You know what I'm saying? I don't leave wills. I leave shall. Like, I shall do this. So, when I connect to Yahuwah Yahusha, oh yeah, it's powerful. Like, I just barely put my mind on it. Cool breeze just came through and everybody felt it. They all shifted. They all got up and left the minute I started getting mindful of Yahuwah. Cool breeze calm. Yep. Gloom coming back like that because that's how powerful Barak Yahuwah, he worked me out to, like weights. Like, I was a kid, starting to lift. Now, I'm an athlete. So Barak Yahuwah. Now I'm a warrior, swordsman, slicing and dicing. Part of that is not shrinking back when you feel pressure because people come around and you get shy, you don't want to say it. That's when you want to say it the most. That's like the kill. That's the kill. What do you call it? The kill strike. Shalom with the word. Praise Yah. You got to say even more more so with conviction, passion, and desire. Otherwise, you're not projecting the truth, the energy. You're just saying it. And you're scared, shaking back. You just gave it to the enemy and showed yourself a coward. You're weak. You know. So, nonetheless, all that to say, all this was very essential. Why am I a nudist? How does boom? There you go, right at the hour. All to tie into the message. So I started at an hour. There's another hour mark. If you want to skip all the cool little details, now we're gonna tie into. If you just want to know why I'm a nudist, go straight to the hour mark. Why I am now a Natsarym Nudist. I'll tell you why. Everything I just explained, I found I can channel doing better, doing best as a nudist. Why? Because every now and then, the way the clothes rubs up on me and touches me and the things I've been through and the way they project certain elements of the world, still try to do things where it's trying to invoke that. I'm always at constant war with that insecurity. That spirit of insecurity tries to come back and manifest through people and like almost like they're looking at me like they wonder they're trying to see or I can feel something or I don't know, and like I don't know, it gets weird. It's just something there. So it's a part of my insecurity that like weakens me out. um and a part of it has to do with being on the phone technology. It's like all the 5G towers are connected, so when you're around the city, around the world, they got you like training you up constantly, like Thanos. With your thoughts, they're kind of constantly putting, through the 5G AI algorithms, they can manipulate reality around you. So your reality is being manipulated like the same way, your 5G, your phone operates. They can see your thoughts. 5G AI reality at all times, so they're constantly maneuvering it live, knowing what you like, dislike, bringing it around will distract you and will cause a reaction out of you to get a rise out of you. Oh, look, there's that car I like. Oh, I've always wanted to eat there. Look, they're about to open a new one. Oh, because you're worldly and they're just exposing you. But if you don't give in to any of it, but they'll bring people that bring situations, whatever, will get the reaction. And the 5G AI technology, the technology itself in the air, constantly putting intrusive thoughts, distracting thoughts, pressing you down, trying to keep you distracted from clinging to the word of Yah. Get you on all kinds of little rabbit trails in your mind, or just able to stay sync with you. To not your strength is not as strong when you are in the city around all the technology. Being on your phone takes away your charge, energy, all that kind of stuff. But when you go to when I go to a nude beach like Black's Beach, all those opposing elements gone. They're done. I'm no longer insecure because the mystery's over. I'm fully naked, and I don't got to worry about what people are wondering about. Here it is, and then I Brock Yahuwah, I have an element to like own what I am. Like once I'm dressed or once I project, like hey, this is me with confidence. So, there's always an element of like hiding something. Like there's nothing to hide now. Like bam, this is me. So I'm more confident when I'm out there naked. Mystery's over. I don't feel insecure no more. So that charge is gone, so I can have more connection with Yah. I feel closer to Yah. You're in nature. You're around air, wind, water wrapping you. You're back in the original state of the Garden of Adan and Hua. I feel like in one realm, I'm literally in the garden uh, on Earth. Like it's like there's like a invisible projection of the Garden of Adan that you can't see, but we're walking through it, but we're just on Earth, But we're actually walking through at the same time in our conscious and the subconscious and the Shamayim realm. So it's like you walk through a portal once you get naked, because then all the animals start to come to you and they're like samachim with you. They're like glad with you. Everything's like uh, samachim, like gladly exalting with you, and like they're like coming around, and it's like the restoration of the garden. It's like the last thing. All the frequencies gone. You're not near any of the 5G towers. You're not near any worldly influence. You're not near any idolatry. Like when I was near that house, I feel like there is some kind of power to that little idol. Even though as much as I just like, nah, I'm not gonna give it power. All the worldly wicked elements can be coded demonically, like the tetrad, like in we call it Avengers. It's just sitting there, but it's projecting that negative energy to make them all fight against each other, like low key. So that's in the world when you're just walking around it, around all the elements and the technology, anything a part of the demonic construct, the social construct of the world, materialized, elements of the world, got some kind of demonic coding on it that's just going to put out an ambience of energy, of a vibe, and it could be a negative vibe, put you down. They don't want to put you down though. They want you to be up because they put you down, you're gonna draw close to Yah. That's what you do, and you're gonna get away from it. They want to make you joyful, so that's why they project a lot of the best things, kind of make you want to laugh. Want to make you feel accepted, and make you feel at the right place. That's why you start to see your best kind now. You start to see that delusion. Everything's going well, and everything's all sunny, everything's all lovely, and it's all smiles, and everything's so great. But yet Yahuwah is like, no, everything's not. It's about to get destroyed, and you have to be in me right now, not enjoying it. Where it says at the end, everybody's gonna be marrying, giving in marriage, and rejoice, samaching, and then bam, the end comes. So it's like you needed to be just connected to me, and so I project that. I project the darkness, like nah, like gloom. First when I was out there homeless for the year, Yahuwah trained me to project, just staying connected, to project the gloom. And then after that, train me. This is what part I forgot. Then I started like invoking, like when it's gloom, dwell on the word. Like I started imagining like how they would be like, man, it's dark. Like I put myself in their shoes. I would like act it out, like imagine almost subconsciously. I'd be like, wow, why is it dark all of a sudden? Why is it so dark? Like, you know what? Maybe it's a sign that the world is ending. Maybe I just need to get in the word. I would do that. I play it out just like that sometimes. Like I'd imagine I'm a person of the world and do that, and I'd be like copy paste. Like I'd code it to the world. I'm like, now that's you. Y'all put that on, And then it would. You see people kind of like, and then it's just start talking about the word. Like yeah, I was feeling a certain kind of way. I just finally decided to open my Bible. I ended up on a broadcast with the word being preached and all that. The Bible, scriptures being preached. And yeah, so that's how we harness the power. So I bring the darkness, like, hey, get into the secret place and get in the word, and I ruin the party. I shut it down. Just with my meditation, I'm doing it now. Boom, starting to get gloomy again, starting to get fresh and cool. I'm doing it. I can do it like that now. It's like they're arm wrestling me just when they think they got me. Like, it's basically what's happening in the Ruach. Praise yeah. So yeah, I can only go more. I don't even work out no more because I feel like even the elements of working out, like at gyms or even like the one at the house I coded. Like yesterday, we were supposed to have a meeting, and something inspired me. Like, I'm just gonna sit by the workout stuff, and then they never came out for the meeting while waiting for the manager. But they're just all sitting there, kind of like almost like awkward, like waiting for it. But the inspiration kept coming, like, well, while we're waiting, might as well work out. But I was like, I don't know. And then I got like, you know what, screw it. And then when I started hitting the workout, it's like they're like something felt like they were like, yes, we got them. And then that's when I realized, you know what, that's all I'm doing. Like, what if even the workout equipment's all rigged, demonically with a charge to, like, you're putting your trust in your own flesh, and man and the elements. Because here's one thing I'll tell you, I'm glad I'm having this stuff now. I'm very clear minded. Like, having a little secret place moment where it's all clear actually right now. Malkim Shamayim. It's that squirrel. You're doing it, aren't you, squirrel? He's been hanging around the entire time listening to the word. I feel like that's a malak in the flesh, protecting me, keeping the demons away in the ruach. You know what I'm saying? He's just circling around me the entire, like, coming back and forth. And every time I see him, I'm having a clear thought. Like, I have a clear thought, and there he is. And so what I started realizing was like, I was remembering how even when I was homeless for that year and just channeling the ruach, just staying in the word. That time I was reading like every day, just a little bit, just like a chapter a day, meditating on it, just to keep it in. Then and thinking out the darkness, destruction, reading stuff about that mostly was on my mind, and it would bring it, and then make like invoke, like not make but loosen the vibration that everybody should be thinking about it too, and they would, and then that became a coded program. So now I just barely think about it, and it just automatically, like, it's done. Like, you just hit enter kind of thing, like launch it, and it opens. So we code reality that way, and I'm doing it now because now I'm what I'm doing is programming it to do it through the phone. Where, like, when you see me, and you're watching it, you're gonna remember these things, or just see me, you're gonna subconsciously think of all the things I've said, and you're gonna be coding it in your world, your reality, so I already did the work for you. You're basically, by watching this is your way of like downloading this app, downloading all this power to do it. You just have to watch it one time. It's the download process to get to understand what I'm saying. And every time you see me, you think on me. It's like you're automatically launching the app for the day and pressing enter to like launch it, like to for it to go out in your paradigm at the subconscious level. When you think about all I said, you don't have to think about everything verbatim. Just the general thought, like what I represent, what I say, what I talk about. Boom, you're gonna be doing it as you think about it, and then so now you're doing it. I'm realizing that as I go. So like where I once coded reality one community at a time, one city at a time. Now we're taking it over cross country through Facebook as y'all watch me. And the proof is in the pudding with the glitches. That's Yahuwah's way bearing witness for me that this is my servant. You know what I'm saying? Like listen to him, because y'all don't want to be like those ones who said, you know, man, if we had seen the signs and miracles Yahusha did, we would have believed. Like, I don't understand why it's so hard to believe. Well, okay, I'm going to give you a new version of that and see how well you do. I'm going to do it through my servant Raul, who's a little hard uh, to follow, and he's not so appealing because I'm not speaking word incantations. That's why it's not a familiar spirit. It's hard to watch him because it's foreign to you, because I'm just saying the word straight. I'm just giving you manna. It's not tasty. It's got a little honey to it. It's a little sweet in the substance of the truth, but it's not like it's cake. It's not a donut. It's not fluffy. It's not fun. It's not a pretzel. It's not a bagel. It's just manna. It's just this tortilla. It's just what you need though. A little olive oil, anointing, a little salt, a little word. Barak Yahuwah, praise Yah. And so that's what this is, manna. This is the hidden manna. So y'all do this, who listen to this, and y'all think on this stuff. Meditate on everything I say. This is how I meditate all day. I'm literally just speaking my meditations, and then you just meditate with me on it, and then you start loosening the day of darkness and gloom and destruction in your area. Well, more of the warning. I won't say destruction just yet, but the day of darkness and gloom, and we'll call it meditation for people to meditate on the word. Like a trumpet blast of the judgments coming. And we say dark and gloom because it says on a day of dark and gloom, the day of the ram's horn. So the day of darkness and gloom is always associated with the day of the ram's horn. So one way you can look at it, like when you see darkness and gloom, that's the ram's horn. Like the darkness and gloom is the shofar, is the ram's horn of going out, the warning of the destruction that's coming one day. And you should heed the warning of the darkness and gloom by getting the word of Yah, meditating on it. Because when they did that the past couple of days, people were like quiet, like waiting for it. Like I feel like in a spiritual realm, I can feel the demons. They feel like we're about to get raptured now. They're already waiting for it because every time it gets dark and gloomy, they look at me like, "Where's he at?" Like bring him over here so we can go with him if he's leaving. Like they think I'm about to go or something, because then they want to come and grab me, and so they can fly off with me or something, or at least or put me in a unclean, tainted realm. Like come out of my people, touching not the unclean thing. You can't be touching it. So eventually I have to come out of that house. But right now it's for a season, just to like share the word. And I did last night. Kind of gave them the general thesis, a general invitation to what the truth is, what I represent. So who already gave me the clear, like, okay, you can leave now. Touch not the unclean thing, come out of it. And but when it gets dark and gloomy, that's when they want to pull you in those areas. Hey, come in here, look, touch this, touch that. Like, hey, here's $5, $20, because the all seeing eye and all the stuff goes with this demonic. Usually dollar bills, because the dollar bills are the ones that got the all seeing eye and all the demonic elements on it. So it's like, here's $1 here. Hey, you want $1? And it's like on a day of darkness and gloom, and they're like thinking I'm gonna get raptured or something. So they're trying to keep me from going. Like we're gonna hold them down this way. But they don't know. It just manifests in the natural. And they all of a sudden have the desire to want to give me something. And if they think about it, they would understand it's weird. It's irrational, because they're probably people that don't normally want to just give $1 to some random homeless guy. But for some reason, they were feeling it that moment. I'll tell you why you were feeling it that moment, because I can see the spiritual demonic realm. Your demon jumped in you and was like, give him the dollar, like so we can taint him, So then he's got to stay and be destroyed here on earth with us. He's got to suffer the judgments. That's what's going on. Get this information, dwell on, meditate, like, wow, touch not the unclean things. So at some point, you got to figure out not touch the dollar bill. And you got to pull out and fast to Yahuwah for that. Be like, Yahuwah, if that's true, then lead me to a place where I don't got to mess with it. And he might tell you, leave your job. And you might just have to do that. For sure, those who are single, Like, if you ain't got kids, you ain't got family, you ain't support nobody, you support yourself. Oh yeah, you better come out here, and find out. Mess around, find out the right way, in the right sense. Who Yah is. Praise Yah. Turn that parable on duality and righteousness. But if you got family support, you got all that, then I get that. But still ask for a way for Yah to support you. Distractions. You know what I'm saying? Nah, I'm not gonna go to that. There was something up there. Because I know I'm about to hit a ruach. They can see when there's like this thought coming, a ruach charge, like I'm about to receive this like awesome paramount thing. So then they bring like there's like some kind of parade going on, and then I go check it out, then I forget what I was gonna say. That's how that happens. But what's the paramount thing then? Since we never do it this way. Um, yeah, it's getting gloomier because it's about to turn back. We're turning it. I'm giving this for y'all so y'all can do it too. Look at that. Still a little overcast, still staying. We're still holding it down. All right, praise yeah. All right, yeah. Word. Yeah, they did that because I was giving myself away a little too much, and then that was just enough to like. It did kind of pluck a little out, like some substance on it, can't lie. But you can always get it back. You just gotta backtrack. When you backtrack, it's like time traveling to the past. You're going to that moment. You're literally going back to that timeline, and you're extracting it back out. So I gotta. That's what's actually happening. So it's not that big deal. Just gotta extract, go back through time. Time travel, is just going back to a moment. You gotta feel it, remember it, and then you kind of manipulate what you can with energy, like pull, like shift, like you gotta relive it, and then like, all right, let's just imagine I didn't give into that. All right, and then let's see. So what was I gonna say? Spiritual warfare. Oh, I feel it. There it is. I see some shining in my consciousness. Not literally, but like that just means I feel enlightenment. You can feel like enlightenment right in front of you, like you're about to. It's like on the tip of your tongue, tip of your brain. Like, oh, what is it? I'm just trying to use my words to articulate. I know, I messed up. I know, I messed up because I thought about y'all, how y'all perceive me when I'm doing. Let me try again. Squirrel's gone. All right, let's try this again. Back. Okay, so nudity, yeah. All that to say, let me start there. It's like we're going back to time and relive it. Yeah, nudity is like it takes away all the security. So I'm more empowered in the ruach to manipulate, to bring when you bring the gloom, there's no 5G signals, not as much. When you're in the city, the idols are like the tetrad. The tetrad will influence some type of ambient type uh, vibe, presence, mood, and they want to make you extra jump, like loving the world and the things in it. They'll try to get you in that. You got to come out of that, come out of the wordplay, got to come out of using the unclean terms, touch not the unclean thing, and then brings the gloom. And then you put out the meditation that they need to be drawn near to the word. Then you just stay unstained from it and stay hidden. Who will make a way for you, for those of you even who have a family, if you like pull out and fast a little bit, maybe if you had to, but be very sincere. Like if there's something there, there's a way. He will make a way. Maybe someone hits you up that's got a stead home community thing, and maybe that's why I never got invited to that. Boom, I feel like that's it. I never got invited to that because that's more for families. For kids, for children, for husband, wife, kids, especially women and kids. But for the men, we're like the soldiers. So if you're single, yeah, you gotta come out here and find out, like, see how who operates out here to get more power. Is what I'm saying. And he'll take care of you. Trust me, he just will. It's just that easy. You might feel like you're gonna worry. That's just in your head, but it'll come. You're always gonna get fed. You're always gonna get what you need at the right time. I needed shoes. They were ripping open. Dude bought me 2 new pair of shoes. See what I'm saying? Like you just stay firm about the word. You can't change about your paradigm. You have to be sold out to this mission. You can't like, oh, why are you homeless? Oh, I just was like, I'm just, I don't know, just like something happened. I just like, well, might as well. I'm just tired. I tell him because I felt conviction about touching a dollar bill, and I feel like the world's in it. I just want to kadash myself to Yahuwah, be more abstained from the world, and just be clean. This is my conviction. This is my understanding of what it means to be pure in His sight. So I'm gonna walk according to those convictions, you know. And and they're like, "Whoa, hey man, you hungry? You know, do you need some clothes?" It's like, "What? Oh, sure. You know, or do you need to ride anywhere? I got you. Whatever, you know." But you just gotta stay firm on your word, and it manifests. Fountain of kindness. And yeah, again, a part of that meditation of the word. Again, it's like the sound waves. When you see it manipulates the water into patterns and the sand into patterns. When your meditation's on Yah, your meditation are like sound waves. It's like a vibrational. You can't see it. It's a vibrational pattern that the world, the reality you're living, will mold to it. It'll conform itself to that vibration, to that meditation of the word. And people do that all the time on lower levels. As long as there's truth to it, conviction to it, whatnot, the reality around them is molded to how they are in agreement with with how they perceive Kai. So that's why people seeing the reality they want to see at all times. But when another paradigm, overrides it, that's where they get upset. Like the word, when they start talking about the scriptures, they get upset is a manifestation that they know that this is more paramount, more eternal, more more. It's a more stronger, more indestructible, overriding pattern, vibration, and so they have to conform to it. And even them tripping out and being upset about the word is actually them conforming to it, because Scripture says, "Hey, man, when you talk about the word and preach it, people are going to get upset about it." 'Cause that's how you know that it's the word is true. Because people can talk about Buddha, not saying the deities, but Boo and this, that deity and that deity, Hindu. People are fine with it, whatever kind of the spiritual thing, mysticism. But the minute you talk about the Bible and the Word, they don't want to hear it so much, the flesh, because that's their vibration. You're stirring up their vibration, and they have to conform to the Word. They have to submit to it, but they don't want to. They're fighting it, so it manifests in being upset with it. But that's still them in the grain of sand or a water molecule being conformed to the pattern of the vibration of your meditation. That is Yah's meditation. It's eternal, and that's why it's more powerful. The math adds up more, because what makes these realities real is that there's some truth to it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be reality. But there's only so much truth to those math equations, to the point where the equation doesn't add up no more. And so when you have all these evolutionary theories and all these different things, at the end of the day, there's evidence that support that that's all just made up in theories. The math that doesn't add up, so it falls apart. And when you have the biblical narrative, they found Noah's Ark. That you can see that the Grand Canyon was actually carved out by a lot of water over a quick amount of time versus a large amount of time versus a little water. You can see that when like a storm comes through, even at the beach, at Black's Beach, the waves came crashing this past week, and the water came raging so much so against the shore that it actually carved a little mini Grand Canyon in the sand along the coast, the beach. And it's like, look, proof is in the pudding. A large amount of water rushing through real quick over a little small amount of time, over a night, carved a little mini Grand Canyon. That's how the great Grand Canyon was carved by the flood of Noah. Found the flood. You see all the plates that line up with the biblical narrative are all in the same time. So, and that's where they get upset, because that's moving their conscious grain of sand, their souls in line, saying, yeah, that is true. They can recognize it. But the flesh is saying, no, but I don't want to believe it. Why? Because that means I have to change my ways, because if the word is true, there's certain things I'm doing in my high that are not morally correct or in line with that word, that understanding, and I don't want to change that. But their soul, their conscious soul part entities, gravitating to follow the pattern of that suit, but their physical is trying to bounce around, trying to not bounce into that mold. And so that's the frustration, the irritation, that's why they're getting upset. The manifestation is chaos. So either you fall in suit, be eternal into that eternal pattern, or chaos, you're like those little dust particles in the midst of the pattern are just going to get wiped off. You know what I'm saying? The choice is yours, but they know it's true. They know it's true. They just don't want to conform. But if you conforming puts you in an eternal pattern, and that eternal pattern is order that brings clarity and peace of mind and eternal peace, love, and joy, there's eternal Hava Shalom and Samacha. Why would you not want to conform to that pattern? It's true. You like math, right? 2 plus 2 is 4 is perfect math. Praise you. Yeah, learn to hear the word of Yah. Like, hold on, shh, slow down, just chill. I want to make sure I can slow down. All that to say, yeah, that's why I'm a nudist now. All that to say, part of that pattern is Yashayahu 60. Where the sovereigns come in procession bearing gifts. When I focus on the meditation of Yah, and I'm thinking about the gloom and the destruction to come, and it gets dark, and I'm thinking I really should be focused on the word. Well, the enemy's trying to get me out of that meditation, and they fulfill it in the process of Isaiah 60. Those sovereigns coming to bring, their best, the wealth of the sea, because what they're trying to do is, if they can break my meditation from all those ideas, from that paradigm of the word, of the destructions coming, we should be getting closer to Yah, and it's so connected, it's influencing the world. So if they can get me to break it, then they're going to feel their little nice feel through best high now. They're going to feel the right vibe, like that worldly vibe, where love the world and the things in it vibe. Because when I focus on the word, that vibe goes away. They have this, like, there's this emptiness that's like, how come things don't feel as pleasurable or fun? How come it doesn't feel so great? Because I'm loosening where the fun and the joy is, the fulfillment, it's in getting in the word. But they don't want to get in the word. They don't want to eat the vegetable soup. They want the sugar rush. They want that temporary sugar rush, the high and lows. What goes up comes down, though. It's not nourishment. It's not true substance. No nutrition in sugar. So you're going to just constantly chase the sugar rush to feel alive. But the nutrients is in the vegetable soup. It just may not taste as great. But it's the word of Yah. So nonetheless, the enemy has to bring a distraction to get me to take away the vegetable soup from them, to like stop offering it with my meditation, to stop the pattern. So they'll throw things that would distract me, noises, lovely women, kind of stuff, and I can glance at it with the measure and be like, okay, cool, nice. And a lot of it is double-edged duality. Like, take it with the right side is like, oh, glimpse of things to come, because what ends up happening is, I'm not looking at anything though. When I really just put off and I like not entertain anything nice and fluffy and colorful and the feel right vibes, I just stay locked in the word. Then that's when they come with the procession. When I said the woman in the thong came catering me, feeding me like a sovereign. They brought the gymnasts, that brought out the celebrity gymnasts to try to entertain me like gestures to a sovereign at Pacific Beach at Faneuil Park. They start bringing more women. That's when I started having like it was funny, those women in thongs, right in front of me, just bare butt as I'm reading the word. They're just like, put my word down. It's how you thought it was like a opening scene to one of those kind of videos. Like, what's going on? And they'll do that to get you distracted, to take your meditation, your focus off the word. But they're doing yoga stretches. And we know yoga is inspired demonically. If you look at the yoga, like how it's created, that even the little ones are drawn to the word, praise Yah. The little one came from right there to right here in Brock Yahuwah, praise Yah. But yeah, even yoga will teach you that it's demonically inspired, and they got me. They'll bring in a little tender kind thing. Hi, okay. Oh, that's okay. She's shy, but that's cool too. Works out both ways. Keep me back in focus. But yeah, so yoga. They had these the women bending over in the thongs and everything, and yeah, instead of giving into it, I would call it out. I would just tell them, like, that I'm like, yoga's demonic. Y'all bending over doggy style to a demonic spirit. That's the irony. That's the what do you say? That's the comedic part. Man, they take my words. That's the irony. That's the sarcasm in it. Is that the word I'm looking for? That's the joke in it, I guess. Like the way they mock you is like, you're bending over to a spirit, a demonic spirit entity, doggy style. They give you a charge. They make you feel this sense of nirvana. They call it, this sense of like peace and serenity and tranquility and all that kind of stuff. And it's just a counterfeit, because as soon as you get off the mat and go do something else, that charge they give you, they're gonna take back. They give it to you. They let you borrow it, and then they pull it right away from you. They steal it from you. Then what happens? You're feeling bipolar. You're feeling irritable. I know because every time I run into someone that does yoga, I ask them like, "What does it do for you?" And they say, "Oh yeah, it makes you feel so nirvana, peaceful." And they've always brought this up. They say, "I don't know if it was coincidence," and I don't know if they talk about this amongst each other, but they just happen to all say, "Yeah." And it's crazy because well, I can't live without it because if I don't have it, I get really irritable. I get like upset. Like I get grumpy, moody. I get like I'm bipolar. I'm like what? And they're like, yeah. What's crazy is I never had this before. I used to not really get so irritable bipolar. So now it's like almost like yoga's a drug. Like they say I have to do it, or else I get like bipolar. And I can discern in the spiritual. I'm like, you know why that is? Because everything's spiritual. Spirits. A demonic spirit is channeling is throwing on you some projecting some peaceful energy, serenity at that time when you're doing yoga to make you feel like it's giving you that fix. As soon as you get up and go, and it starts slowly taking it away, and it just takes even more out of you. It takes all your energy away and some maybe if you can. And then, but it's doing it on purpose to make you get bend over backward for it again, doggy style, because it's a mocking spirit. It's like getting you to do all these positions, and it's really sexual intercourse with the spirit. That's why they do it in front of a statue to reflect the spirits that are around it, and it's the truth. And so I would call that out, and I would yell that very thing out at the park when they would come out and do yoga and group sessions, or if it was one woman, I wouldn't yell it at her. I'd yell it like I'm talking out loud, just so she can hear it. And guess what? Over time, they'd stop doing yoga in Pacific Beach. They stopped doing it outside. At least they would go to the little sanctuary spot where they had it to do it. But what's funny is who positioned me there by the 7-Eleven. I just went there because I'd get free food there. The guy was like, "Hey, yeah, you want taquito? You want coffee? I got you." That's what I'm talking about. Like, who takes care of you? He even give you a little malak, 7-Eleven guy to give you free food anytime you want. As long as he was there, I go in. I was hungry. Grab some taquitos, take some coffee, whatever you want. He let me have whatever I want from the hot food. I don't want none of the packaged stuff anyway, so I'd get like taquitos and wings and stuff all day with coffee and all that. But later I found out, Wingstop would do the same thing. I go to Wingstop every night. That's expensive food. I was eating like a sovereign, but that stuff is junk because I was eating Wingstop every night at midnight. They leave a big old bag out with every kind of wings I had, with anything I wanted. They asked me what do you want. Like every night, like I come in at midnight, they're like, what two do you want? They give me two flavors. Sometimes like I would just tell them I didn't know though. I was humble about it, but not by choice. I don't know. I don't know those things. I'm like, whatever you think is best. I would ask them what they like. What do you like? And I'll get whatever two flavors that person has offered me. Like every night, I would tell them to just do for me whatever they thought was do, and they would. Brock Yahuwah, praise Yah. And but fried food, fries, all that. You heard of the gout. Maybe a form of the gout started like making my feet like swell up and break out, and I was like, I didn't know what that was. I didn't know why. And then later I saw Everybody Hates Chris, and there was an episode about the gout, how like fried food can activate it, and like, oh shoot, that's probably how my feet got all a part of why, because there's all kinds of things. It was the food, it was a lot of spiritual warfare, a lot of stuff going on, and so yeah, it was bad, but because they're fighting back, and so in one sense they're just poisoning me low key. They're giving me free food only because they knew it would afflict me one day. So like I learned. So now I can only eat non-GMO food. Like I'm allergic to BS. I can't have GMO food. I can't have anything from plastic bottles because that would make me get eczema rash. That's why I have a glass bottle right here with me. I have to drink out of glass bottles. I have to drink everything. Everything has to be organic and real and fresh. Can't have no GMO in it. Everything just I can't have no sugar, hardly any sugar. It has to be real sugar like honey or from berries or from fruit, in a fruit bar kind of thing. I can't have just powder white sugar, like bleached sugar. It had to be if I do it has to be organic, it has to be the raw brown and just a little bit. If I drink coffee black now, can't have no sweet creamer. So I have to be 100% kosher because I'm 100% kosher. A lamb doesn't eat junk, doesn't eat trash. He's like, you're my sheep. Who should cause a sheep? Sheep don't eat garbage. Pigs eat garbage. Pigs eat other pigs. So you're not a pig. You're not eating junk. You don't eat like you're a sheep now. So you got to eat like a sheep. You got to eat the grass. You got to eat what's clean, what's fresh. So that's how Yah has me now. Praise Yah. You never see a sheep eating dead carcasses. So I can't eat like that. So praise Yah. All that to say, yeah, whenever my meditation is like that, and I'm not giving in to the shenanigans or trying to project to distract me, they'll up it up and just do. I call it project the Isaiah 60, Yeshayahu 60. They'll bring the procession, the sovereigns coming. They're doing it as a stunt to like, well, we'll give them the counterfeit version of it, like, have them like bank in on it now, like cash in on it, like live my best high version. Oh, that's what you want? We can do that for you. And then all of a sudden, there's always a parade that breaks out, for something. It just has a backstory to it, like girls running in bikinis all of a sudden, or like breast day, or there's this like group that would run through PB, jog a certain day when I was not giving in, and then they would all of a sudden coming out where I would post up. Everywhere where I chose to sleep, when I woke up, all of a sudden would be a women's fitness spot. I'm like, no way that was there last night. I was sleeping at the post office and PB, and I woke up and there's a women's fitness gym all of a sudden right there. Like, what? And they're all working out, you know, waking up like men wake up, with women there right in front of me, all ready to go. So I was like, man. And then I go to another spot and wake up from that spot. I found like this little bar or like a restaurant that was shut down, and I wasn't paying attention. I slept there, woke up, and right across the street was another women's fitness bar or another women fitness center. They're all. I'm waking up to it while I'm waking up. You know what I mean? I'm waking up like men wake up, and there's women right there as I'm waking up. You know what I mean? So that was a hard thing to, like, it's like tempting, but I toughed it out. But then it's like, it's no different than Facebook. If you don't get on Facebook, you get on Facebook and all of a sudden pops up on the reels. You got Facebook, they'll pop it up in your reality. The reality becomes your reels. All of a sudden, it's like reality becomes reels. Like this reel, all some girl just bend over, start squatting in front of you, dude. And like, what? It's like, and so they'll bring the procession, and when you start giving it attention, like the procession, then food and everything, girls in bikinis giving you food, we're doing this they had a drink called Babe, like that's. I went through this one season where like I had this hive mind. I wouldn't call it delusion, but like they were giving me this reality, like, oh yeah, since you're gonna inherit the earth, you're gonna marry all the women, like all these men's wives are gonna be your wives. You're gonna replenish the earth with their wives. Because they raped your women, so now you're gonna have their women, because that's the right verdict. Because that's why white men have a cuckling spirit. Like if you look up the statistics, statistics show that cuckling spirit. That's where like a man wants to see his wife get banged by another man, and they usually want that by a foreign man, both the white man and the woman. Why is that there? Because that's the law of the universe telling them this is the righteous verdict for your ancestors, to repay what your ancestors did to the foreigners. And the math adds up. They know it's truth when they hear it. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Because they can't make sense out of that. It's like a mystery. Like, why are we so crazy? Why do we want to do such a crazy thing? And why do I want my wife getting banged by another dude? And why is the woman like, yeah, I want to get banged by another dude, like a foreigner in front of you? I want you to watch and take that. Why? Because that's the just recompense. That's a righteous verdict from the creator Yahuwah of the universe, saying like, I'm gonna put that in you. I'm gonna give that desire in you. He's kind like that. He's gentle. It ain't like, oh, it's gonna be a dread and a horror and a nightmare. You know what? Because this is what you deserve to do. This is the righteous verdict for them. I'm gonna put it in you as a euphoric, desirous, lusty charge. You're gonna want to do this, and that way everybody wins. Not only does the 12 tribes, the lost tribes of Israel that have been made a remnant, a minority under the guise of being Hispanics and indigenous people. But once they realize they're Israelites and they start proclaiming this truth among the nations, so you got to proclaim the truth among the nations. Why is my phone messing up? They're putting that charge on it. There you go. Maybe it's the way I was facing. But yeah, once you start proclaiming this truth among the nations, that's what Scripture says in Deuteronomy 30. When you draw up this the word back to your lab, to the truth, the why you were scattered, and come back to the commandments and proclaim it, do it among the nations. Like, let it be proclaimed among the nations. How I interpret it, make it make sense to them. Then that's gonna code that charge and make it real. Like, you know what, the math adds up, and the math adds up because they know deep down that. they talk about this stuff. I feel it in the ruach that they have these fantasies where they want to the men want to see their wives banged by a foreign man. And yeah, for the most part, it seems to be a black thing, like predominantly black. But I know it's even for us because they're just blacks were bold in it. We have to be bold. Once we project that, we're ready to receive that because our our Catholic values had us all, morals too. There's a spirit of righteous morals in Catholicism. I was experiencing that while I was in that Catholic building I'm in. That's why Catholics do have a moral sense. While I was in that, while I'm still there, but I might head out. But while I'm in that Catholic building with the Virgin thing, all of a sudden I have these like morals and values, inspirations being imposed on me, like to like be like not looking at women, not wondering about women, not caring about women, like being all, not open to them, And like, what? No, the recompense is that. Like, that's where it's a lie. And I think that's where the Israelites that are raised Catholic, like the Hispanics and all that, are trapped still by that Catholic spirit that did do a lot of harm in the sex shame thing, like where it makes you kind of like a little also insecure to be naked and all that stuff. Like, that's not cool. Yahuwah made Adam and Eve naked and they were not ashamed. So nonetheless, once you fight all those spirits and overcome that, and you're open to like, hey, and you're ballsy, you're kind of like, what's the word, bold, to be like, hey, I know what the righteous, the righteous judgment is, the right recompense, and I'm ready for it. Like I'm ready to like. Part of that is 7 men cling to one man to replenish the earth, but it's even the Gentile women. The Gentile women have to cling to us, the foreigners. Have to give us their wives and their daughters as wives and concubines and whatnot. Of course, being of age, but nonetheless, this is why. What explains why people can't explain this? They just think it's some kind of weird thing that they got. Why they want to see their women banged by another foreign man, and why the women even want to be banged by another foreign man. Now, Yashranim like me, because it's the righteous verdict. It's the righteous verdict that they deserve, that they owe us, because their ancestors raped the Ashranim. They raped and killed all our wives and daughters and whatnot, and our people. So now they got to repay us. But because Yahuwah's like, y'all did such a great job building this country, it's got a lot of moralistic, biblical values. I'll tell you what, I'll make it a pleasure to you. I'll do it where it actually feels, it's going to be a desire you want. It's going to actually feel nice. You're actually going to want it too. It won't be like, oh no, I don't want to do that. I'm going to code it in you. That's going to be the witness against you that it's from me, the created universe. And then math adds up. 2 + 2 = 4. And you're going to want it too. You're going to be in agreement. So when they're ready, you're ready. Right? So praise Yah. And the reason I shot it that way is because, just to let you know, like, I was getting some positive feedback there, but all of a sudden I turned it and it's not there no more. So I'm gonna take that as Malakim from the Shamayim, because Malakim and the Shamayim do that too. Because I feel like some of our wives are gonna be somewhat possessed or inspired by, connected with their angels, the Malakim and Shamayim. We're gonna have Malakim of the Shamayim wives, if you will, that manifest through the women, through the best of the best, who are eagerly able to do all this. And that's what the word says too. You read, how do you say, well, Yahusha said, what did Yahusha say? Yahusha said that in that day, if it's coming, the resurrection, there won't be marriage and giving into marriage, because we'll all be Yachad one. I think he wasn't saying that we won't remultiply, but he says that we'll be like the Malakim. He was saying that basically, like, we're gonna be like the Malakim. The Malakim we're gonna be with the Malakim. We'll be like the Malakim because we're gonna be becoming one. We're gonna be one with the Malakim. We're gonna be having Malakim Shamayim counterparts, like wives and stuff, to multiply with through people. So praise Yah. Yeah, thank you. I feel you. Yeah. So I'm getting all the best of the best right now. But when I put it on there, it doesn't happen. So I know that's from Malakim Shamayim. I'm seeing all kinds of awesome loveliness, and it's very obvious. It's just for me, though. Y'all can't see it. It's cool. I love it. It's a treat. I'm very thankful to y'all for it. I cry. It's very special. Yeah. Yeah. My dude taking a picture. That's a manifestation. Like we see you. Yeah. So she brought out the baby, and it was kind of like a nice little foreshadow of what's to come. It was amazing. It's lovely. Tender kindness. And that's like my wife, man. Because the way she projected was like, hey, it's just for you. I don't know. I can't explain it, but I don't need to. It's just for me. Because I'm doing the work. Trying to show y'all put in the work, man. Y'all get the rewards. Y'all trying to get the rewards with no work. This wasn't just talking. This was work too. But it was nice. Loved it. So yeah, you project the word, and they manifest. You know, try to distract you out of it, or they'll even try to bring the procession, like your inheritance already, like they're bringing like it's happening now, procession, and even like that, like the glimpse of like what is to come. I just saw how it got me, but I feel like I only give it in when it's praiseworthy. So that's the thing I also want to say. That wasn't for nothing. The only time you should ever kind of give in is when they are reflecting the reality. When that's them following into the pattern of the actual of the vibration of the meditation of the eternity, and they're kind of operating like it's happening. Like that was like a moment I was having with like as if she was my wife, and just having that moment with her, just like in the ruach with me and her. And so I gave it energy. I fed into it because it was like strengthening the vibration of the pattern of the signal of that meditation. You know what I mean? Of Yahuwah. And yeah, she has a current husband who in that moment just manifested that he stepped out of the way, and then we just had a moment. So I didn't realize what's happening. Just took it in and just Yahuwah, does things like that, and he gives us a glimpse. And this is kind of how like I'm operating. Like I'm seeing things. Like I'll stay in the Word. Like imagine I'm just here reading my Word, and then I'll see things like trying to distract me. No, no, no. But then once you say no enough, then they have to kind of reward you with with the reward. Like I came with the dude firm, and then so he had to buy me shoes, or they have to serve you in a sense. Sorry. They have to serve you. My ex used to tell me that, like, yeah, if you're like being obedient, and you're abstaining, then they just like serve you because they have to give you that charge, or they want that charge out of you, and they'll do that at the expense of serving you even. So once you abstain enough, they'll find you like, all right, fine, look, here's food, here's this. They'll give you the best of the best, what you need, even a glimpse of the truth of the reality. They'll give you a little glimpse of it at the expense at the in the exchange that you're gonna give them some charge, a little even exchange, and so that's what that was, and only when it's like praiseworthy, when it reflects the desire of Yah, like what it should look like, then I give it that charge because then it codes it like yeah, this is what it's gonna be forever. This is how it's gonna be, and it's cool. Sit here and watch my wife. It's my wife for now because I like that one. Just love it. She had that charge. She took it. When I say she took it, I got when you kind of get I fall in love quick. Like you get that like euphoric, like you get like all warm and fuzzy. It rushes to your head, all the warmth and the fire and the. I didn't not necessarily in my heart too much now. I'm learning to guard that, but you still kind of feel that emotional fire kind of go over you. Emotional, yeah, just a little bit, because I'm grateful for the projection, and yeah, it's cool. Yeah. So sometimes I give in to those moments, and there's still even a double-edged sword. Like you wonder about it, like yeah, you might be giving up, powering up their world, you know, at the expense of them showing you what you want to see. That's one thing who used to tell me. He's like, they're not gonna stop. They're relentless. Like flies, Beelzebub, right? Like they're gonna come. They're gonna keep on trying to land on you, try to get something out of you, and you're gonna give it regardless, some way or another. So instead of giving it so cheaply to like little dumb distracting things that the like the love of the world, lust of the world, pride high. Why not give it to the thing that like hold off until it's exactly what you want? So that's why it appealed to me because they knew, like let's say it was like a demonic projection, they knew well what he wants to see is like Shamaim realm and stuff. So when I had the camera off, it was interesting that she was like suddenly like kept like looking back at me like very compassionately, like lovingly, like low key. And we saw her daughter run up here a couple times. Her daughter kept looking at me, and what's cool, she was like doing the breastfeeding in public thing, and I didn't realize she was doing that until at the end. Like, oh shoot, and that's kind of cool too because I think that's Garden of Eden style. Garden of Eden is like it shouldn't be shamed upon. It should be like it's a lovely thing, and so that was cool. And that's all what I'm about. So once that projected, I was like, so I got into a meditative state about it. I was like, yeah, I was having like, this is Shamayim on earth right here. So I was projecting. It was crazy as the husband walked off. So like, we're just having this little moment and I was speaking it out loud. All that I was showing y'all too, because I was saying all that out loud and they were sitting across at the water fountain. Then they sat here to hear more. When I was like, yeah, they're gonna have to give over their wives. We're gonna replenish the earth. Their wives are gonna be our wives and concubines. 7 women cling to 1 man, and that's why they had that cuckling spirit. And when I said that, that's when she was looking back, smiling like a lot, and like her and her friend were like, they're like, oh, that makes sense, yeah, because the math adds up. That's why white men want to see their wives bang. They don't know why, but that's just Yahuwah's righteous recompense, letting them know this is what's in you because that's what the verdict is, and I'm letting you know. I'm giving it to you as a tender kindness where it's actually a pleasure that you want to do as kindness from me, since y'all did a great job, pretty decent job building this country and whatnot, things how you operate. So instead of it making it like a nightmare, I'm gonna actually, double-edged sword it and make it where you actually want to do it too. So it's gonna be pleasing for you. It's gonna satisfy your desires by giving your wife to, you know, Yashara man, a man like me, someone like me to replenish the earth, but nonetheless also even to for them to raise up the child because they got all the resources. You know what I'm saying? Like you're like, oh well, how are you gonna take care of the baby? How can I? They took everything. So that's why it says the other part I've been shared is similar to Isaiah 60. Like, look, the Gentiles come to you and your children supported on their side. Is Yashayahu 49. Read it at the end of Yashayahu 49. It says the same thing that the foreigners shall bear up their children in their arms, the Gentiles. And it says, and their sovereigns shall be foster fathers, and their sovereignness is nursing mothers. I keep forgetting to share that one. He wasn't putting on that one. And that means that they're gonna have to nurse them, meaning raise them up. Like they're gonna lay down, offer up their wives and whatnot, their daughters to conceive and raise up children to our name again, to replenish our nation, like saving the endangered species. Then that's a parable because they like doing that too. They like saving the endangered species. Well, they're gonna have to save the endangered Israelite, and so they're gonna offer up their own wives for favor from Yah, divine favor, and it's gonna be their own desires. So it's a win-win-win, and they're saving the endangered Israelite, win-win-win, and it's gonna all that. It's gonna satisfy everything, and so and it says sovereignesses shall be your nursing mothers, and sovereigns the nursing fathers, meaning you got no responsibilities with them after that. It's like plant your seed, but they got all the resources. They got the right mind about it. They know they got the right morals. They got the right attitude about things. They're gonna have to raise up the children. They got the finances, and we just check in and make sure everything's going cool. And like the parable of it is like Moses raised in the house of Egypt. Like, they try to save him in the water, and he almost got destroyed. Right, remedy when they're killing all the infants. The recompense, well, now you got to raise them. So they raised up Moses in Egypt, um, and he learned the ways. Like he got raised up, but then he started. We're still there. Involved. Like teaching them the scriptures, showing them, or just spending time with them. And then, yeah, once they're a certain age, and kind of come back into the tribes, come back with us, and still have that connection with us. With our nursing mothers and fathers, they're still gonna serve in that way. Because that's the same thing they did to the minorities. They used to like the black slaves. They used to just have the bulls, the strong ones, to just make babies to make more slaves, like treat them like animals. Well, now they're gonna be used that way, and only we'll get to enjoy them and like samak them, get to like okay, you know, now you got to raise up my seed and replant. Why? Because they also do have strong genetics. They got the part of them that's real strong too. They got that really sharp mind. For uh, a lot of different things for like scientific advancements, technological advancements. They're really great on the judgments and right rulings because all that's the tribe of Judah. They got tribe of Yehuda in them, but when they fall off and don't proclaim their tribal inheritance as tribe of Judah, then they're Esau, Saul, then they're the enemy's seed and spiritually. But they're naturally white people are actually tribe of Yehuda. But just like we saw that parable glimpse where it says that the Jews fell astray, that even his original people is a parabolic picture that even they'll fall astray at the end. And it's all a reflection of the fallen messengers. It's all ripple. The original people that were his that fell astray was Yahuwah's very own messengers from above, the Malachim and Shamayim. They went astray. They having seen his esteem and everything, and so now he's giving his esteem and his inheritance to man he created out of dust of the earth who cling to him. And then out of them, he's replaying that parable because then the ones he chooses to be his people, the nations become like the fallen Malachim. They think just because there's people, they do whatever and they go astray. So then out of that paradigm, he chooses the ones that were not even his people that he created that were not. So it just ripples and ripples. So then the Goyim, the nations, are become Yasharal Israelites, but even the originals still do. But the main tribe that was supposed to be his main tribe, where the sovereign came out, Yehuda, were like the Malachim in a sense, but they mostly all go off. Just like they did back then, just like the Malachim did, just like they do now, because of the power. Like the Malachim, the messengers, were drunk with power. They had so much understanding knowledge, they thought they can be like the Most High. So what does the tribe of Judah do with the same power, knowledge, and understanding? They want to be like the Most High. They want to try to evolve and transcend humanity and think that we can live forever. And so they use the demonic power, the demonic wits, demonic science of the fallen. They unite with them, and they create all the science and technology, try to live long, try to overcome the plagues and afflictions, punishments of Yahuwah that he gives us to cause us to repent, go back to the commandments. Well, instead of repenting, we'll just create all these scientific advancements to counter it so we don't have to repent. And that's all through the tribe of Yahuda, the white man. So they're a parabolic picture of the fallen Malachim as well, unfortunately. But there's a place for them. They get to become our servants and replenish the earth to raise up our seed to Yahuwah to become a nation again. With all that strong intellect, with all that Yahuda governance, right ruling. They know how to rule. They know law. They know all that stuff like the fallen. They know how to create laws and create orders. So we're going to take all that back into our seed because he was going to do it in somewhat of a natural way still, play it out naturally as we're manifesting material physical form. So we're going to take those strong genetics, the strength, the all that fight, the zeal, the intellect, but for the reign, the esteem of Yahuwah. And so that's all. That's all I got for now. I got more, but I already got Malachi manifestations. Like that's enough for now. Cut it off. And so with that I remember it all. We review back. Our meditation is like a living. Sound waves have vibrations that create patterns. Our meditations are also sound waves that have vibrations that create patterns that, just like sound waves, sound vibrations make water mold to the sound vibration, or dirt, like sand grains mold to the. So does our meditation. We have our meditation. It creates a vibration of reality that all reality has to mold and conform to, and everybody does that at a lower level depending on the strength of how much truth there is to that paradigm, that the way they're meditating. If it doesn't hold eternal weight, then it's going to be overpowered by the stronger vibration, which is the vibration of Yah's paradigm. Whether they agree or disagree, they're going to fall in according to it. And so that's what we do, and so everybody follows in sync with that and suit. And part of that is the women clinging to the Yasharali, 7 women clinging to a man, eagerly able to give themselves up to raise up children to our nation to replenish the earth. That's why white men have the cuckling spirits, part of that paradigm. We expose and unveil the mystery behind that. Why white men want to, like, they have most predominantly that cuckling spirit where they want to see their wives banged by a foreign guy. If studies statistics show that's a white man thing. Minorities don't have that. Other ethnic groups don't have that because that's the righteous verdict from the universe, from Yahuwah above, letting them know your ancestors done slaughtered all these people. Now y'all gotta repay them back in that way. But I'm gonna make it a pleasure for you. I'm gonna make it a fetish, like a fantasy for you, so that way it's fulfilling for everybody. So that's that, and that's part of the vibration of the meditation. It gives that high, and they follow in line with that pattern, you know. And it's just the truth. 2 + 2 = 4. And they think about it, like, that adds up. The math adds up, so it just gives everybody peace. It's the truth. So that's that. Speaking it, meditate on it. Already, it's conscious level puts everybody in line with it, and it's just waiting for Yahuwah to activate it, to, like, you know take that shot, frame freeze it, and make it eternal, bring it about. Everything's still kind of moving into position, so as long as you stay in that meditation, and then you can loosen the reality better, or like manipulate the reality better according to those ways, paradigm of Yah. And the best way I learned to do it again was doing it, ironically, nude at Black Speech, because there any kind of thing about how I look goes away, like what I'm dressed like, any insecurity. Just get naked and it's all out there. And yeah, praise Yah. Yep. Praise Yah. Y'all ladies have a great day. Whether they say anything or not, don't matter. It is what it is. Praise Yah. Because that's already just an inheritance. I already knew they couldn't say nothing. That's already coded. Just there to distract. But nonetheless, or just to, like, show me a glimpse of, like, that's still what I'm going to get regardless. They just will try to get a little charge out of you. But they were just women coming around me all the time. I talk about it. Like, if I don't want to come around, I just talk about it. They just start appearing, hanging out. But they try to distract at the same time and try to make me feel like I'm getting out, like some kind of thing. So, and then you get that satisfaction out of it. Then you're not. It's almost like having your cake and eating it now. So I just kind of like talk about, like, yeah, not now though, right? But I do have Black Speech because then it kills all insecurities. Where I look like you're away from the influence of energy. People like that. You're away from. There's not so many people trying to distract you all the time, or using elements. So it helps. And not only that, you start to code, even the Garden of Adon on Earth. Just that's part of it. Like, a realm of reality where everybody's like just like naked and cool, and it ain't nothing, not lusting after it. And so they'll come around too. Like, every time I read the word, the way they try to, like I say, they'll come around at the parks and try to mess with me. I think I mentioned in one video, another video. They'll also, all these women start coming, they start posing and bending over in front of me, and a couple occasions did offer me to cuckle, like, uh, two Mondays in a row. I remember the first time I just started going back again. During all this, I decided to see what happens at Black Speech, where that power was so potent, that reality. The way it manifests at Faneuil Park in PB was women doing yoga and all that, and just coming around and bending over and whatnot. But the way it's like, so they got to play according to the rules of that territory. But the way it manifests at Black Beach was the real thing. Literally, like, I just chilled there. All of a sudden, this elder couple came. They're like elder, but like they're older than me. But yeah, they just doing his wife, elder man and his wife, and they just started making out and, like, going down on each other. And then I was like, just trying to read the scriptures, but she was looking at me, and then she pointed at me, "Come here." I'm like, "What? Like, your husband's right there. What are you doing?" And she's like, "Yeah, my husband said you can mess with me. You can watch and like play with me." Like, what? So I almost did. Like, I was just kind of like eating a snack, watching while she was doing stuff, and then she kind of bent over in front of me, and she was grabbing me to, like, to go into the, like, to go doggy style on her. And I was like, and I was starting to, like, hold on, like, I started waking up, started go right there. And then all of a sudden the husband looked over at me. He's like, "What are you doing?" And then she's like, I'm letting him in." And he's like, "No, I don't know." He got all cold feet about it. I'm like, I don't want to do it right now. Like, and so I just took it as a glimpse, like,
Like, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm not tripping. Like, I wasn't trying to anyways. And he's like, but they still let me. You can watch. I'm like, nah. I just take that as a glimpse. I'll take that as like a shadow of things to come. It's a projected parabolic blueprint of what's gonna be done for us in that day. Like, I'm not gonna get my satisfaction out of it now. Have my cake and eat it. I'll wait to the real thing, because if I had done it there, I would have got my fulfillment in that. And then it happened the next Monday. It happened back to back, because what does the scripture say? Upon two or three witnesses, every matter is established. So then the following Monday, I went to a similar area. Nobody was there. All of a sudden, a young a young couple showed up there, and they did the same thing. Dude was brought his girlfriend. He's like, "You want to play with my girlfriend?" And he gave me a toy to play with her, and I'm like, "Nah, I don't want to play with the toy. I'd rather do the real thing." But then I just started massaging her instead, and and then they invited all these other dudes, and I was like, it's weird, it's too much. I don't. I'm like, I get the glimpse though. I was telling them, I told them, I'm like, yeah, this is Yahuwah speaking to me that one day y'all gonna have to serve us, because y'all's ancestors ravaged ours, so y'all gonna do what you just did, wanting to let the other dudes play with your girl, but y'all gonna do it for the people of Yah. So I coded it in them, and I made sure they understood that, and they're kind of looking at me like sounds about right. Like, makes sense. Like, can't say that doesn't make sense. And and that's how I was not doing at Black's Beach. I was doing Black's Beach doing work, and then a couple other times, gay dudes were getting stung by stingrays twice in a row too. After that, back to back, this gay couple there, and then they jumped in the water, and one of them come out hit with a stingray, and I had to go over there and pull out for him and for healing while the people came, and like he had the stingray. Some of them, I think one of them had the stingray thing in his foot still. I don't remember, but stinger. But yeah, they were all bleeding and bad, and it was crying. And I was like, all right, man, allow with me, Yahuwah. And they're like, Yahuwah. I was like, forgive me because I sinned against you. Forgive me for my homosexuality. I know it's wrong. And so they had to repent. I made them repent from their homosexual ways, and and thank you for letting me know by afflicting me with a stingray to let me know it's wrong. Okay, and then when it happened the next week at Black's Beach, another gay couple, and then one of the partners got hit with a stingray, and I made them repent. I'm Yahuwah, forgive me that I'm being homosexual and I'm rebelling, and that's why you afflicted me. But thank you that you love me enough to afflict me and show me and spank me and to know that's wrong, so I don't burn in hell, but you want me to live. And thank you. And I even personally gave thanks. I'm like, thank you, Yah, for me that you're letting me know that this is why you brought me out here, because this happened last week with another gay couple, and he got hit with a stingray, and now this one got hit. And they're like, what? Yep, time to go, because I'm already getting that. My camera's starting to do too much. But nonetheless, that's the stuff I do that I don't tell y'all about. I do the dirty work. I do that stuff that y'all doctors got to deal with, cutting people open and guts and seeing all kinds of stuff you pass out on. Well, this is the spiritual version of it. Ain't none of y'all going out there trying to interact with gay people and love them and tell them the truth and all that. And Yahweh ain't positioning you like that. I don't know. Maybe he will. He shall. But I go out there and he gives me stuff to do, and I can do it naked, and he's like cool with it. I see stingrays all the time. I go out there and there's always stingrays swimming around me, but they're at a distance where I can see them, and they're just staring at me. They're swimming, and so they're excited to see me. They know me already. So about where that trash can is, that's about far stingray is. Like how a squirrel was. You saw the squirrels running around. That's how stingrays they swim around, and they like to see me. I haven't seen them lately, but they used to be there all the time. Maybe it's just not stingray season. But nonetheless, that's all I got for y'all. This is how I operate. This is what I do. And all that to extend the invitation about the Natsarym Nudists. I did just make a page. That's the clapping in the background from Malakim Shamayim manifesting. I did just make an actual Facebook page because, oh yeah, one real thing quick about that too. I got two witnesses on making that Natsarym Nudist page because I was like, man, I get so much. I get so much benefits out of just being nude. You feel better, you feel more natural. Helps you deal with any kind of insecurity or lust or anything. It just makes you feel like normal and makes you feel innocent. I can't explain it because clothes sometimes can
it can motivate people, men and women, to use clothing to as the motivation to sexualize it. They use clothing to sexualize nudity, to tighten to where it look like open up the blouse here, show a little cleavage there, show a little cleavage here, tight this, tight that, thong out, this, that, necklace. Like it's all like to manifest like to sexualize the body. But the nudity, it desexualizes it. It's just there chilling raw in its form, and it's all cool. And there's nothing, no element they can use to try to sexualize it other than the body itself, and that only does so much. They have to actually be swaying around like that, like positioning, like that, posing and swaying it, and otherwise it's just like a bunch of sea lions at the beach, just a bunch of bodies just sitting there, laying there, not moving, and it's nude, but it's like just there, so it doesn't stimulate, and so it's great because it desensitizes, sexual nudity and lustful inclinations and insecurities and all that, and it just becomes like we're all kids bathing in the tub together. You remember when you were kids? I don't know if y'all had that where they used to bathe all the kids in the tub together, like 2 or 3 years old, and like sometimes neighbors' kids, like friends or family cousins. That's how it gets again. Like it's just fun and innocent, and it puts you there. Like you don't even know what sexuality is. A lot most of the time. For one season, all the time, but then because of this paradigm about the ravaging what happened lately, like last year with the dudes trying to get me to bang their wives. Now I go there with that in mind, like that could happen, and I'm like, yo, if you do that again, I know I'm celibate, but man, I might just take it. But now I'm like, I'm gonna take out a shower, things to come. I know that's what you got waiting for me when it's all over. That's just the way the enemy's trying to get me, like projecting that meditation when I'm there. But I'm trying to purify it again. It's been purified lately these past couple times, like it was in the original when I used to go, when it was just like pure nudity, pure innocence. So we got it there again, actually. So but all that to say this, when I went last time, like last week and just yesterday, everything happens in twos. Like I said, there was a time that there was a gay couple that ran into at Black's Beach two weeks in a row. I went one day, then I went the next week. I went one week, then I went the next week. Both times, gay couple got hit with the stingray, and then that after that time, that's when it was the couple that the husband was trying to offer me the wife. Like he was like, "Here, I want you to bang my wife," and it almost happened. And then the next week, same thing. It was a young couple. He was like, he wanted me like borderline bang his wife, just mess with her, play with her, and mess around. But like nah. But I got the glimpse of it twice in a row. This time it was another twice in a row thing where last week it was after Shabbat on the first Yom or this Yom I think I went and and it was just so cool, just pure again, innocent. I think I talked about it, but what I forgot to mention was when I went up the top, there was an older couple there, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you can go ahead of us." I was climbing up the hill, and they're like, "Go ahead of us, go ahead of us." But they're being nice, and I was like, when I passed by them again later, it was like, "You have a great day," I was like, "Yeah," and I think I asked them, "Did you have a great time?" They're like, "Oh yeah," like, "Yeah, me too." I'm like, y'all from here or where y'all from? They're like, oh no, we're just visiting. I'm like, oh yeah. They're like, yeah, I see your shofar. They asked about my shofar, and like, oh yeah, bro, for we're like Ruach Israelites, so I bro for the Sabbath, call to repentance, for a lot of the biblical feasts tied to it. It's all tied together as for the call to repent, and it's samacha, gladness for the righteous, for repentance for those going astray, and destruction for the wicked. You know, and they're like, yeah, we know about the shofar. Like, oh yeah, y'all believers, yeah. And they're like, yeah, we're actually part of the. I could tell they don't want to say it because they don't want to say too much. They were already kind of, trying to hide their identity about it. They don't want anybody to know. Like, oh, but I feel like they had to say they're like, because I'm honest, so they had to reflect that. And it's like, yeah, we're part of the Mormons and Latter Day Saints. Like, oh, what? Because I'm like, well, you're here at Black Speech, and I know they're really like, they seem like they're really like very uppity, like very prude, very like reserved, very modest, very like don't show anything, kind of people, like very religious in that sense. And like, what? But I'm like, but y'all coming to Black's Beach? And they're like, I mean, yeah. I'm like, oh, but I mean, it still didn't answer the question because not everybody gets naked, so I had to ask. I'm like, y'all get naked too? I just said it so straightforward, like it's the thing to do. I'm like, y'all get naked too? And they're like, I mean, they can't lie. They're like, yeah, but we don't go parading it around everywhere. Like on the beach, we make sure like we find a nice little spot away from everybody, and then we just get naked, keep to ourselves. And like you're still out there parading it. People are still walking by. They'll see you. If you probably go in the water, they see you. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with being naked. Y'all made Adam and Hua naked, and they were not ashamed. There's no sin in it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's how you use it. You pervert it or twist it. Clothing is more wicked than being naked because everything a lot to do with clothing. They try to sexualize it. They create clothing. The way they design it is to sexually stimulate. So clothing is more sexually stimulating and wrong and perverted in my eyes than naked nudity is. Nudity gets it out the way, and like yeah. So that's where we're at now. So that was last week on the first Yom son or the first or second Yom, can't remember. But then yesterday when I went again, a week later, right there where I posted up, I moved around a couple times, but the second spot I moved to, I didn't realize who I was next to, but I recognized this woman. Like, wait a minute, she looks familiar. Then the husband came back and he had a ponytail. Then I knew who it was. I'm like, wait a minute, is that them? And so there's apparently this couple that they actually come out where I'm at now. They come out here to the Balboa Park to all this Prado, and this is where they hang out. You might see them out here, some of y'all. They're that Christian group. It's like Christian. I say because they show no shame in their game. I think it's cool. They're that Exian group. They play a lot of like extant like JC worship music, JC music. He used to have his hair dyed purple, but he's like the only one out here. They'll know who it is. He's really like hip with it. He knows all the songs, and he's got a loud microphone, guitar. He's very great at it. He's very well projected. Everybody knows who he is. You know him if you've seen him, and it's him. He's out here. He's always playing it here at Balboa Park, and I think even at the boardwalk at Belmont Park. And there they were. I'm like, hey. Are you that guy that plays JC worship music? They're very hardcore Christian believers. They preach it all the time, and I'm like, but that's y'all that they at Balboa Park, right? That play, and at Belmont Park, like, oh yeah, yeah, that's us. But yeah, I thought I recognized you, and they're kind of ashamed a little bit too, and like, man, that's cool. Y'all made it to the garden, huh? And then they kind of were relieved, like, oh yeah, yeah. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, why y'all acting funny about it? Like, there's nothing wrong with nudity. I'm like, no, there's nothing wrong with nudity. It's just you can't get stupid about it. Yeah, and like, okay, just making sure you see the little not be ashamed or like, yeah, it's the Garden of Eden, man. Y'all made us perfect, naked and Book of Isaiah, right? Isaiah Nabud 3 years naked, and King Saul, Makshal, King Saul prophesied Nabu naked. He took off his clothes. When Sovereign Dawood got filled with the rock, he stripped down, uh, naked or in his underwear at least. Got down in his underwear. Even Yahusha washed their feet, got down in his underwear. Like, and one of the disciples that ran away when he was being betrayed ran out naked because he was sleeping naked under the sheets. So he was naked, and so that might be all hints to like return back to the garden. It says at the end of Yashayahu 32 that the land shall be like a garden land, and the garden land be as a forest. And so like that's all alluding to like references to the Garden of Adam, Garden land and the forest and whatnot. So that's like might be like those hidden code things, like when Yahusha say that we'll be like the Malakim. The Malakim are looking like animals. They got the head of a goat, or I'm sorry, my bad. The head of a bull or an ox facing one way, the head of an eagle, the head of a what's the other one? A lion and a man. So they got animal representation. So that's like if they're animals and they're naked. Animals are naked. Animals are made in their image. And so it's pretty cool. Think about. So we'll be like the Malakim. We'll be like maybe we'll have like an animal likeness to us, and esteem of some kind of animal, and yeah, in a way, because just like that, the face of a man and mine, we'll have these different attributes that are like animals, and we'll be naked and won't be ashamed. We'll be like the animals. Wrap your mind around that, because that's just the reality. That adds up, regardless of what you feel like. everything in the world is naked but us, because we got issues with it, not them. You know, we're made perfectly that way. So that's the message. I extend the invitation. I just made the page, Natsarym Nudists of San Diego. If you want to check it out, if you're looking for a way to maybe heal from some insecurities, body shame, or even lust, like you get messed up, your mind gets the better of you, maybe overstimulated just by the way it's dressed up sometimes, and you see it around all the time, then maybe the Black Speech Garden of Eden, Garden of Adan nude experience would do you some good, be therapeutic for you to get away from all that, how it's dressed up, get away from and confront yourself, your insecurities, nude and everything, see that it's okay, it's praise Yah. And so with that, I bid y'all farewell. uh, Yahuwah, may Abba Yahuwah Barakatah favor you and increase you and guard you, protect you and strengthen you and keep you. Abba Yahuwah make his face shine upon you, be compassionate and favorable towards you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you, be compassionate and favorable towards you. Yahuwah lift his countenance and his presence and essence upon you, give you shalom, and fill you with all the fruit of the Ruach, that we be a light to the nations and a light to one another, to sharpen each other as iron sharpens iron, that we might prepare each other to be a perfect, spotless, pure virgin bride, prepared before you Adonai Alahainu, Makiainu, Mashiachainu, Aishiainu, Yahusha Mashiach, that we might be worthy to enter the marriage wedding supper of the Lamb and to be brought into your chambers. That would be a Echad one, that we abide in you and you in us, that be Tamim as you are Tamim. For you have Yahuwah, Makiahusha, to make us Tamim in your image and Ruach HaKodash. And to halal and petition these things of Yahuwah, Makiahusha, and Ruach HaKodash with praise and Todah and gratefulness by the power of the Dam of the Shah, the renewed covenant, by your power and authority, Mak Yahusha Mashiach, Adonai Eloheinu, Adanu Ali, Duru Duru Duru, Aman, Waman, Waman, Halal Yahuwah, Yahusha, Hallelujah. With that, I bid y'all farewell. Shalom, shalom, Yasharal, Shalom, shalom, Mashpacha, Shalom, shalom, Ani Ahabata. Shalom.